Okay, street talk then this week, and already, and we're only quarter of an hour into the podcast so far. I've had to jump up to get myself a glass of water because get ready for this, Gemma. It's too hot. It is too hot. Well, yes, I am saying it. It must be true.
Wow, I thought it was so brilliant when it was hot. Apparently, it can be too hot.
I found it's not conducive to podcasting because my mouth's drier than a camel's backside. Who said that?
Blanche, you told me a minute ago.
Oh, we're supposed to pretend. You're supposed to pretend that you didn't know that, and then you are an expert Coronation Street who knows very common Coronation Street quotes. Okay, so
shut up, me. Yeah, I'm rubbish. Yeah, I am rubbish.
No, you're great.
Let's get on with it.
Let's talk. No, so we got the roll in the hay storyline first, which last week was utterly dull and all about late licensing laws and everything, but I actually found very interesting and quite juicy this week. Next one, Gemma, I just want to go straight to the Aggie and Yvette and Ed storyline. Storyline title? Ready?
What is it?
It's not that good, actually. I built this up a bit too much. Aggravated snobbery. Think about it.
Aggravated.
Yeah.
Yeah, snobbery, like robbery. Very funny.
Thank you.
It's actually quite funny.
Oh, thanks. Aggravated snobbery. Then we have got the Justin case, which came to a head on Monday's episode and completely fell off a cliff after there, in my opinion. Mac's out. Yeah, Mac's out. He's out.
He's out.
Didn't want to come out. They had to prize him like a stag beetle on a cat medicine bottle. And to anyone who's watching on our YouTube channel at the moment, that doesn't make sense. Lords of the Underworld is next. There are now 2 Lords of the Underworld, Owen and Stephen. I'm getting the funniest of looks from you at the moment.
I can't remember anything that happened. I've had such a horrible day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Oh, it's all right. Well, we're going to have fun. We're going to have larks now, Gemma. And we will finish with the Roy story as well. So, would you like to do the big, serious, explosive roll in the hay storyline, or would you like them all light-hearted?
I'll do the first one because you loved snobbery so much.
I love them both, but you do the first one.
You didn't like this because you don't like Sarah.
No. I don't like little strumpet. She got caught out, and Sarah, you had it coming.
No, he had it coming. Adam, it's all his fault.
Why?
Working too hard.
Oh yes, you said that the other day.
Well, I said this it's really funny. It was such a revelation into the state of our marriage. When you were going, it's not his fault, he's working hard to earn money for them. And I was like, but he's never there.
Yeah, the difference is that I go to work much, much, much earlier than Adam does in the morning. At least he gets to see his wife and have a conversation with her before he heads off to the office, doesn't he?
So really what you're saying is that I've got more reason to cheat.
Well, I mean, if you go by Sarah's logic, then yes, absolutely.
He's paying her attention.
You've got higher standards.
He's paying her attention. Listen, what would save Adam and Sarah's marriage?
A podcast.
Exactly. That's what they need to do.
Unfortunately, I think that people might have trouble understanding what Adam's saying part of the time. We had to rewind it. What was it that he was saying today?
He said, I don't trust a woman who comes to work.
Oh yes.
In odd shoes.
But
we thought he was saying, I don't trust a woman who comes to work in her own shoes. And I was like, whose shoes is she going to come to work in?
We had to put the subtitles on in the end. I would say, what has happened to DD's shoes?
I'm pretty sure that he's saying odd shoes, but I couldn't.
1984.
I couldn't hear it from what he was saying.
Anyway, yes, I'm very glad it came out today. But Gemma, just remind us, how did it happen? How did the secret of the century finally blow up into an explosive bistro rumble?
That little snitch, Harry. I tell you what, I was telling you, I was admiring him this week. I was like, it is possible, Michael, that Harry is the cutest child on Coronation Street.
Well, we started.
And you were like,
We did. We started Wednesday's episode, and straight away you were like, "This kid is so adorable." And I was like,
"No, you can't say anything. You can't say anything. You can't say anything."
No, you can't say anything. But I will say, I was absolutely won over by Harry, and I can't believe how many lines they've given him.
He's adorable.
Like, how old is this kid? I can't remember.
A snitch.
I remember when he's still in his mother's tumpkin, and when he was being that was a Blackadder line, sorry.
Okay.
And how Sarah was worried that he was being possessed by the devil or
Well, I think
something
he
like
is.
that because
He's
of him
still
being
possessed
Callum's
by the
baby.
evil demon entity that is the Callum.
You said demon.
I know I did. I've been trying to say it right for about the past 10 years.
Does anybody else say demon? Is it a Southampton thing? Because I
always say
have
demon.
a few times in the past had to correct children at school who say
Really?
demon.
Demon.
Yeah, and I say it's demon.
When I say
the
demon,
word is demon.
I think I've missed something off the end. It sounds wrong. Demon.
No, it is not demon. It's literally not. Does anybody else say demon?
I'm going to carry it right. That's it. I'm embracing my heritage, and I'm just say demon from now on because it sounds right to me. You say what is it you say? You say something.
I say
wrong.
nothing wrong.
You say.
I say New Forest wrong.
You say New Forest instead of New Forest.
It's the same. Oh my gosh, you just said exactly the same. Sorry, we'll get onto Coronation Street. Sorry for people who are interested in our non-Corrie.
I know what it is. You say macabre.
I do say macabre wrong.
I'm gonna
I
say.
often forget how to pronounce that one.
Straw poll. What's worse? What's more annoying? Macabre or demon? That sounds right. Anyway, moving on.
But can you just explain to me again the two ways of saying the forest that is near us?
The New Forest. The New Forest.
The New Forest.
The New Forest. You say it, the New Forest. You don't go the New Forest.
Oh my gosh, I can just about hear it, but I'm sorry, I've been living here 20 years now and I don't know.
Every time you say it wrong and it makes me so cross.
Yeah, Gemma gets like
I really get annoyed.
Inconsolably
I stop talking to you for
whenever
about
I
10
mention the new that place. But anyway, that's not about Coronation Street. I'm very, very sorry. We do waffle on. So yes, Harry absolutely won me over, and I can't believe how many lines he was given and actually did a really, really, really decent
adorable.
job with this week. Well done.
But yeah,
well done.
Possessed.
Maybe.
On Monday, Sarah's looking guilty because Damon and Adam going into the lawyer's office, and then Nick and Dee Dee joining in because they're talking about the late night licensing chat, and my goodness, what a boring thing to hook this story
when this scene
around.
started today, I was like, no, there's no way I'm still in it this week.
You know how I was complaining about how they've taken something really exciting in the Ryan storyline and turned it into a boring affair storyline?
Yes. And I'm with you on that this week, by the way.
What's worse? Taking something thrilling and turning it into an affair storyline, or introducing late night licensing purely for the purpose of getting Sarah and Damon in bed together? I don't know what's worse.
I'd rather it went this way because at least it is, on the up now.
Yeah, but they could have had a boundary dispute, couldn't they? Think of all the great things that Adam does every day, and it's late night licensing. Anyway, Sarah follows in after, but she's put off because Damon's talking, giving it large and everything, so she heads off. And Damon's still talking to Adam later, and he's like, I'm trying to change, I just want an ordinary life. At the bistro later, Damon's talking to the licensing people, and he's saying, yeah, I was a bad lad, but I was in the bill as well, so does that count? And his family's been involved and taken to court and stuff, but he's never been convicted, which, honestly, if you're saying, yeah, I've got a colourful past, but I was never convicted, to me that's like,
I got away with it.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been punished.
I just can't believe him, and I really hope that we're not going to have to believe that he becomes a reformed character, because I think he's a little bit like Paul in my head, where like he came in as a bit of a wrong one, and
yeah, I
find it really, really difficult to accept. Of course.
Why?
Well,
how come you can't accept him, but you can accept Daisy? Because she's backslid this week.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, I can see the difference.
I can't in my head, and especially when he's been bonking around with Sarah, I can't think nicely about him at the moment.
He's never been convicted.
I might struggle to if he stays in the future.
I like him. Adam points out the council is trying to show that they're helping ex-offenders.
Yeah, and so it doesn't jobs. Yeah, employing them and stuff.
They need to be consistent.
Sorry, that was very skillfully done there. I'd written employing ex-offenders, but I must have typed it wrong somewhere because the autocorrect has changed it to they're emptying ex-offenders.
Well, you've written here, his family's been involved in judge, but he's never been convicted, and the council are trying to show they're emptying ex-offenders.
You're doing well.
And I didn't point it out.
Good
but
job.
no, I did. So he's like, look, more money. You're showing yourself to be benevolent to ex-convicts. This was going to be a win-win if you grant us this late night licence. Damon's a good man. And honestly, shagging someone's wife is not against the law.
Should be.
Sarah's looking nervous as the meeting's drawing to a close, and Damon and Adam come and like, oh, it looks like it's all going to get approved. Then Adam tells Sarah Damon's got him tickets to a football match so he and Harry can go and watch it. Ooh. And Sarah's like, oh, they're probably stolen. But then Sarah has a quiet one with Damon later, and oh no, that's right. Damon wants to go with Adam to this football match, but when Sarah speaks to him later, he then says to Adam, I can't go. So he decides to take Harry.
Yeah, Adam's going to take Harry now.
But then on Wednesday, he's like, I can't go now because I've got work. And then Sarah's like, oh, well, no one can go then. Shona can go. I'm not taking... Why are you not taking your own son to football? She's like, I can't go. I hate football.
It's the principle of the thing.
What an absolute cow. Why wouldn't you go? Do you think Shona likes watching football with blimmin'... What's her face?
Lily.
I doubt it.
We did get to see a demonstration of Lily's football skills this week, didn't we? She hoofed that ball into the net that was 2 feet away from her nicely.
She did nothing to assuage people's... what's the word? Criticisms of women's football, standing 2 inches from the goal to kick it in. But and she's young. She's young.
At least we get to see her doing her fancy footwork, unlike James Bailey, if you remember that classic scene from last year. And she didn't have a heart attack at the end of it as well. So
win-win. We were talking about on one of our previous podcasts about a new Alan Carr show.
Yes, but last week we were talking about it. It's amazing.
Switching ends, changing ends.
It's really changing funny. Ends.
But
4 out of 6 episodes in, I'm already mourning that it's only 2 left.
There was a scene where one of the characters, because his dad in the show, Alan Carr's father, is a football manager of Northampton, and football club. And there's a scene where one of the characters is like kicking the ball about and like kicks it to like teach an obnoxious child a lesson. And I was like, yes. Guess what you do? You hire someone who can play football for the role of a football player.
Well, they did that for James. They just...
they wouldn't let him do it. They were like, no, we're going to just film you. It's more dramatic if we film your face.
They're like, well, we're going to need to see him play football in about 2 scenes throughout the whole of his time on the show, but we're going to need to see him act every time. So let's get Nathan Graham.
No.
Anyway, so...
It wasn't his fault. It was the way they filmed it. It was just really conspicuous.
Yes.
Anyway, Damon and Leanne are talking about this late licensing launch. I know.
Do the writers know that it's like...
Let's have a big party.
There's no way to sex that up, is there?
It's a sexy late licensing party. This is what they were worried about, the residents.
Sexy late licensing parties, yeah.
Sarah comes into the cafe and she says, here you go, Shona, take this boring football ticket. I can't believe she did this, honestly. This is why Harry grassed her up.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I think maybe that is the main thing.
I would have a grudge against her. What a horrible mum she is. Anyway, Ollie's flustered later because she's got...
she didn't even, try to find anyone else. I mean, maybe she did, I don't remember. But, I'm sure somebody that isn't Adam could have taken Harry to the football.
Well, she could have gone, how much, really, genuinely, how much are these tickets? How much are they? How much could they possibly be? Is it sold out? I doubt it. Get another ticket. Shona, Harry and Lily can all go together.
Yes.
But no. Sarah's just selfish.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alia's late. Don't forget, everybody, Alia is the best assistant that's ever been to the best lawyer that's ever been. But even the best people make mistakes because Alia's flustered at
she's
work.
been through a very tough year.
I couldn't believe this. Oh no.
She's been stabbed.
No, listen, no.
She's been blown up.
No, this is so funny. Oh dear, Alia. So Alia's flustered. She's got the names...
Was it this week when we got Yasmin saying, they put a bomb in our van?
Don't be horrible.
Great
So,
line.
Alia's flustered. She got the names mixed up because there's a client that's supposed to be meeting Adam later.
Which is why he can't go to the football.
Everything wrong. And Sarah's like, well, you ruined it because Adam should have been taking Harry to this football match. And then Alia's like, how could you? I was blown up and stabbed and stuff. I can't remember. But I love this because I feel so bad for Alia that we don't Still don't really care. I know other people do, and it's really important for our character that, you know, we get reminded of this. But I just...
Well, yeah, because I mean that's the other story that's going on this week, isn't it? With Max out of prison.
But it's just so funny. Honestly, it's kind of, it just shows how crazy Corrie is at the moment with how many different really uber dramatic storylines that are happening all at once. That is like, oh yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
guess
say,
you are. And also, don't go on about it. Other people have had acid thrown in their face, so.
That's true. I mean, I know
Ryan's
Ryan's consigning
not
himself to
going
his
around
room at the moment.
Getting names confused.
Look
and
at me!
schedules.
Look what's happened to me! I've had acid in my face.
No,
and
no,
everybody's had tragic lives on that street, haven't they?
Everybody's had some hard year. Come and stand in front of Alia.
Yeah, tell her about it.
There'd be no standing room.
And I'm gonna still say, maybe not her fault. She maybe couldn't have avoided the stabbing. But if you don't want to get blown up, then you don't drive off in a van with a bomb in it.
Yeah, that was
just a tip.
That was a rookie move. She won't do that again.
She won't do that in a hurry, will she?
So, Sarah says, don't worry about Max. He's not going to make contact with you. We all know what happens there. But you guys don't, you have to wait. Sarah has a chat with Todd in the street. This was what I referenced earlier, the nice scene between those two characters. And she asks him about his love life. And he's saying, oh, I don't think there's anyone who's set my heart aflutter yet.
And she's like, oh, I got someone who sets my heart aflutter. Sarah
goes, sex is up, apparently, to see Damon.
Yes, sex is up. She kind of schmoozes up to him, all sexily.
Oh, Damon. Oh, it looks like it's just me and you. Oh, don't close the door. Oh no, I'm married. Adam, what do you mean? Oh, it's not here. It's just you, Damon. Oh. Anyway,
that's literally exactly what happened.
And he's like, oh God.
10 seconds later, she's on her back.
What?
Sorry, I mean, seriously, does anybody have any sympathy for Sarah at all this week?
Yes, I do.
If you do, get right out.
Okay,
because
fine with
she
me.
has been asking for this.
That's fine with me.
I'm sorry, Sarah, you got caught by your son. We'll get to it. But she got everything she had coming to her this week. The little minx.
So, right. So anyway, they take advantage of the facilities, and Adam returns to work later.
What facilities are there in the bistro office that is useful?
Well, there's no sex fridge, that's for sure.
There isn't, no.
So Adam returns to work later, and Alia says, "Oh, me and Sarah had an argument," and he says to her, but you've been blown up. How can anyone expect you to be able to schedule appointments correctly? I don't even know why you're working there, to be honest with you. So, Sarah and Damon, sorry. I mean, she got confused. Why shouldn't I? And honestly, the names are not that different, are they?
No, they're not.
It's just an extra O. And you know what I mean by that. So anyway, they've had their time, haven't they?
Time.
We've got to keep this light for the kiddies. You know, all the children are there. Right, so Sarah...
I really hope not.
Sarah admits to Damon, but she's like, you know, with all this kissing and sex, I just can't help but feel like I might be cheating on Adam.
Oh yeah, she did, didn't she?
But I feel like I've got a connection with you. And Damon says, yeah, I've never felt like this about anyone before. So
I'm like, I gotta hate Sarah for this, and but I'm loving how just completely oblivious.
She's got no self-awareness.
Dumb she's being, isn't she? And this is completely in her character. It's like with her being like boss of the office and stuff, which she's clearly not suited at all.
You know that she's
ditzy, but she's not like Rosie Webster ditzy, is she?
If Sarah does not have on her desk a little rubber travel mug that has girl boss on it, I'm gonna eat my hat. Right, so they're in the flat, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
And then Gail comes in because Harry is ill, and she's brought him home from school. And she's very surprised to see them both there because she says she's been trying to get in contact with everybody, but nobody's come to get him, so she's had to pick Harry up herself. And Sarah's saying, oh no, Damon came to see Adam, and Gail's like, I don't know what I think about this. Sarah puts Harry to bed and tells Damon that he better go. And then before he leaves, they have another kiss. But unbeknownst to Sarah, Harry...
It was just a pet goodbye, Gemma.
Harry is watching from the door like a little child figuring out Father Christmas is actually his dad. So Gail goes back to see Sarah later, and she is asking... She's going to look after Harry because Sarah's got to go to a meeting. And then Gail says, are you okay? Because you seem really hyper and excited about something. And Sarah's like, oh, I'm fine. And Gail says, look, be careful with that Damon guy. He seems a bit too Jack the Laddish. And who knows what kind of salubrious types he hangs around with. And Adam really shouldn't be, having his clients around the house who keep work and life separate.
She's definitely clocked something at this point, hasn't she, Gail?
She gives her a funny look as Sarah leaves.
Yeah, and these Gail scenes tonight were absolutely, it's not vintage, 80s, 90s prime Gail. I'm not going to go that far, but this was an awful lot better than a lot of what we've seen from Gail for a very, very long time. She wasn't being, she wasn't being her silly self, was she? So well done, Corrie writers, for giving us something serious to do.
Yeah, she really worked. She did perfectly.
Yeah, she did.
This is what's frustrating. This is what's so frustrating. Is Helen Worth's still fantastic when she gets given, something serious.
Yeah, things that aren't, Mrs. Mop.
But I think I don't mind her doing the silly stuff, but I know a lot of people don't like that.
I wouldn't mind it so much if it was just the odd bit here and there, or if it even balanced out equally with the more serious stuff.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It really, really doesn't. But anyway, I love this.
Harry, the little snitch, he draws a picture of Mummy and the other man kissing. Like, why are you doing this?
This is quite tropey, I'm going to say, isn't it? And I can't think of any other examples at all in Coronation Street where this happened, but I'm sure there have been many. There was that story once, there was the scene, do you remember a few years ago when, can't remember, was it Ruby or was it Hope, drew a picture of the family, with the Dobbs family, and there was Phil with his big muscles. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do actually.
And there was also the one that she drew with Fizz on a roller coaster or something in the Jade storyline.
Yeah,
but
everyone was being killed or
kids
something.
Communicating by drawing pictures of what they see is tropey. Does that happen in real life?
Do they do that?
I don't know.
I don't know, but they always draw the same house.
Yeah, square with a triangle.
Yeah, 4 windows and a door.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Gail's like, what? This is basically as good as photographic evidence.
She's probably just impressed by Harry's lead drawing skills. Like, I mean,
that doesn't look like Adam.
I couldn't do that.
This is an incredibly detailed picture of Damon Hay. Sarah comes home after the meeting and going, t-shirts. And Gail says, hang on, look at this picture. Look at this photograph of you and Damon. And Harry said you were kissing.
That Harry's the one that does the e-fits for Weatherfield Police. If you remember that one of Emma last year.
Who could forget? Sarah says, other man, I should be so lucky. Oh, Mum, what do you mean? Damon, me?
Slag.
Did he say it was Damon? Oh, I shouldn't have said it was Damon. I don't know what you're talking about. Me and Adam were totally rock solid. I wouldn't kiss anybody else. And Gail says, don't tell me you've been carrying on with that Damon. And Sarah's like, oh, damn it. She says, things have gotten out of hand. I've slept with him. And then Gail wordlessly holds up the other picture that Harry drew.
What's that?
Them in bed together.
Oh no.
No, he didn't draw that. Sarah looks very guilty and says, Damon just makes me feel excited and Adam has been working so hard.
All right.
It's like he's never at home.
I get it.
He doesn't help me with the allotment and he never... There's about 12 to 16 tomato plants that have been needing to go out in grow bags.
Are there indeed?
That have been... I've been asking about Adam helping me with.
Yes, Adam. Yes, I get
and
it.
he hasn't, and
Anything else?
They're actually all getting flowers on them
Does Adam
now.
need to empty the dishwasher before bed
Adam
tonight?
also needs to get more on top of the recycling bin because we had a conversation when we bought the bin, and I specifically said there's no point us getting this bin if you're not going to empty it.
Yeah.
And he promised he would, but you know how often, Mum, I go to put something in the recycling bin and there's just no room.
Adam's job isn't 9 till 3, you know, Gemma. Just saying. And holidays for Adam aren't actually your holidays all the time. It's holidays for his clients.
Gail says you need to stop shagging about, really, don't you? Anyway, Gail says that these things end badly. I've been in this programme for a long time. I've never seen
many
a happy ending, if you know what I mean, for an affair. And Sarah says, I've been trying to end it. And Gail says, not hard enough. And everyone around the country goes, whoa. Sarah says, I was going to tell him it was over today, but I couldn't because he kept shagging me.
You lie.
Gail says,
does she really think? Does she think that she's trying really, really hard and just failing because she's just so naturally alluring? Because she really isn't, is she?
I'm sending him mixed messages, Mum. I keep going, oh, Damon, we can't do this anymore. Oh, those are my pants. Oh, they're on the floor. Oh, Damon. Oh, I better get somebody to stitch this elastic better. Close the door.
I like this character.
Well,
I'm a little bit jealous. I don't have any good characters on the go at the moment.
This is why Damon's he finds her completely irresistible.
He wouldn't. Any red-blooded male. I'm thinking we just stop the podcast right now, Gemma.
I can't do Sarah for that long. Right, listen. Sarah goes to see Damon in the bistro and tells him about Harry seeing them and knowing. And now, I don't know if she mentions Gail knows, but he's basically saying it's got to stop. And Damon says, no, this could be our chance to take it out in the open. And she says, no, we mustn't tell anyone. We've got to end it now. Adam comes home from work and he's brought a Wethy County football.
Yeah, so Wethy County football.
Oh, a football.
An
actual football.
You watched the episode with me.
Oh, well, I thought we were saying Wethy County football.
No. It wasn't even a mini football like that basketball
Bloody
that Craig
hell.
bought Macy.
Craig will never live that down. So he's a great stepdad. Everyone feels bad about it. Sarah takes Harry to one side and she's like,
yeah.
I love it. This was the worst parenting on Coronation Street for a long time.
And there are some strong contenders.
This was awful. But this was like...
I was watching it go, Sarah.
You can't do this to your own child, Sarah. You awful.
Horrible.
So she's like, Harry, you know how you were sick earlier? And you were hallucinating, weren't you? And, you think that you saw something, but did you just see me give him a little kiss on the cheek to say goodbye? And Harry's like, no, you was having a massive snog. I drew a picture. Look, here it is. I put it on the fridge. and so I was like, no, you need to go to bed.
Sometimes when you're sick, you imagine things.
You just thought you saw
it's
that.
It's like Munchausen's, isn't it? Although apparently we don't call it that anymore.
No, it's...
I've had training, but I can't remember what it's called. I would look it up.
We talked about it for ages on the podcast before.
Did we?
Pseudo something.
I don't remember.
So, she's
I
like,
couldn't believe
go to
what I can.
bed. You didn't see anything. It was all a hallucination from your flu.
In fact, you're still asleep now.
I'm not even here. Go to bed. You're still asleep.
For the benefit of the listeners, Gemma is waving her arms around.
So on Friday, Sarah's like, you know what? I like shagging about so much. I want to do it all day long. But it's just Adam.
Damon's not here, so Adam,
duvet day. Me, you. And he's like, I actually have work to do. Believe it or not. And she's like, yeah, that's why I've been shagging about.
As much as he wants, but I'm sorry, and I know I do work hard.
What?
But
what are you talking about now?
I'm just saying.
He can say that. What do you mean?
Is the script trying to make us understand Sarah's actions and go, well, yeah, he does work hard, doesn't he? Are we supposed to be thinking that?
What?
Are we supposed to be thinking, oh, Adam, he's such a terrible husband for working all that time? Because they keep dropping it in. And I just don't believe.
Sorry, I had to blow my nose.
I just don't believe. Is there anybody out there that thinks that Sarah is perfectly within her rights to do it because
No.
she's being neglected by her
She is
terrible
being
husband?
neglected. He is terrible.
She's not. No.
He is. I've been telling you for years. Right, listen. Munchausen's is factitious disorder.
That's the one.
Imposed
That's the one.
on
I
self.
do remember this.
Yeah. Who was that? It was Emma's boyfriend, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Curtis. You're talking about, yeah.
The doctor.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's when he does it to himself, isn't it? And Sarah's doing it to Harry.
Others, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it would be factitious disorder would be if she was like, "Oh, Harry, you're really sick." Bonk. Look, you've got a headache now, don't you? You must be ill. Anyway, so on Friday, Sarah goes to the bistro and tells Nick that she and Adam cannot go to the late licensing launch thing tonight because Harry's still unwell. And then she ends up with Damon, just them two together, and she says that I'm so embarrassed about gaslighting my own son. Then she gets a mysterious phone call from Carla and she's got to go.
Do we find out what that is?
Yeah, we do. It's the selling.
Oh yeah, cool.
So, she goes back home and she asks Adam and Harry if they want to play a family game together. And Harry's like, "No, I don't want to get milkshakes. I hate you." So Sarah tells Adam that what is wrong with Harry? I can't work it out. And he wants to get to the bottom of it. And then she's worried now that he's on the case. So Sarah sits Harry down and's like, "Look, you keep saying I'm a slag and I'm not. Stop telling people I had a kiss with someone who wasn't Adam. It was just a goodbye kiss. We've got to keep it a secret." And he says, "It's a lie. You told me never to lie." And then he walks off. And then Adam comes home and Harry runs up to him. And this was the first moment of the episode where we got confused about what somebody was saying. Because it sounded like Harry ran up to Adam and went, "Mum's a lawyer."
Oh yeah, it did,
"Mum's a lawyer." No, liar. He's saying it's a lie. So I hate her. And Adam's like, "Go to your room." And then he says to Sarah, am I missing something? And then immediately Sarah confesses. They sit down. She says, "I'm really sorry. I do love you, but there was a kiss. I didn't know Harry's seen it. I kissed Damon. I wish I could take it back. I can't." And he says, "Is that all it was?" She's like, "Well."
She like shakes her head for a bit, doesn't she?
And then she said she slept with him, but she didn't mention it was like several times.
I don't think she does she?
Anyway, Adam's furious. Sarah's crying. She's trying to explain how it happened. And she's like, "Oh, I thought I was going to go to prison." So it's fine, isn't it? You get one free prison shag. Is that not right? I thought that's why you got into the law game.
Just sending him off with a smile on his face.
So no matter what she says, Adam's not buying any of it. He goes off because he's going to kill Damon. So, meanwhile, at the bistro, everyone's having a great time for the late night licensing party.
Yeah, and all the coolest kids are there, aren't there?
Simon's there.
Simon,
Spider's there. Toya's there. Everybody. Ken, Daniel.
Yeah, I know.
They've attracted the creme de la creme of party animals on the street. Adam strides in. Everyone's having a go. He has a go at Damon, and Nick and Leanne are mortified. Sarah comes in.
Well, it's because like all the press is there, isn't
Yeah.
it, to review the bistro, and
and he's like,
and the owner's being accused of
knocking
being a
off my
philanderer.
wife. Sarah's like, no, and Adam says, "Yeah, Dame's been shagging Sarah." Then he starts having a little tussle. And knocks into Daniel, spills a drink on Ken. It's a disaster. It's the worst social event since, I don't know, the tram crash.
What a
Which
faux pas.
brought everyone together, didn't it, really? Damon leaves. Ken tells Sarah maybe she should go too. And I tell you what, you get dissed by Ken in front of everybody, you might as well just curl up and die.
Yeah.
At a party as well.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone goes silent. It's like a school disco. Sarah leaves. Michael follows. They're approached by Damon. Sarah tells Michael, "It's okay, you can leave." Damon seems pleased that it's all come out because he's got this delusion that they're going to be together. Sarah says, "No, it was meaningless. I love Adam. I want him back." Damon says, "Well, it's your call, but you've got to be careful." Back at the bistro, Adam's sitting in a booth, just completely dazed, and Dee Dee comes to comfort him. But then it becomes apparent that she knew all along. So he sacks her and accuses her of having odd shoes, which is quite funny. And Sarah's having a sob with Gail later when Adam comes home, and everyone goes a bit quiet when he walks in the room. Gail leaves Sarah with Adam, and he's like, oh, you always were a sucker for a bad boy. I should have seen it coming. It gets really tense, and Harry comes in, and he's like, oh, I'm such a cute orphan urchin child.
Not quite an orphan.
Stop fighting.
Half orphan.
And he asks Adam to give his mum a hug. And so Adam puts his arm around her, and Sarah's just crying, and they're hugging Harry, but you can tell it's not going to work out. Later on,
it's for show. It's a show hug.
Adam's packing his bags, and she wants to talk, and he's like, no. Takes off his wedding ring, puts it on the table, and says,
I'm sorry, Sarah, you're not the woman I married.
Devastating. And he leaves.
Nice.
She
had it coming. How did you
Adam.
How did you find this story, Gemma?
It's so dramatic.
It's proper dramatic.
It was dramatic, and it was like we said before on the podcast that we're not invested in Adam and Sarah as a couple.
No, not at all.
But still, really enjoy this drama. Sarah just like, what's the worst thing to do? I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
and every single time she gets a chance to make a decision, she's like, how could I ruin my life more than I have already? I'm going to lie to my own child. I'm going to sleep with my husband's business partner. I'm going to lie to his face. I'm going to lie to my mum. I'm going to ruin a party.
It's funny because like I still much prefer Sarah as a character to Adam, but I just like shaking my head at every moment with the stupid upon stupid things that she's doing.
You're definitely invited to share Sarah's perspective more than you are Adam.
I think so. Yeah, she's the
the
main
one that's
character, if you like, of
this.
Yeah, and he's just the victim of it. But I'm glad that he reacted in the way he did, because I mean, it could have gone down the route, and I think, did Lydia get a mention? I can't remember. I think she might have done. It could have gone down the route of like, well, you know, I was a bit of a player in the day, so I'll give you one free pass. But he absolutely was just like not having of it. He wasn't ever unfaithful to her, and I don't blame him. After everything that happened last year with Lydia, when he was accused of having an affair with her, and she was like, "How I felt he's been somewhat restrained, I would say, in his condemnation of her sleeping around, honestly." And that moment at the end of the episode where he takes his ring off, puts it down, plonks it on the table, I think that was all that was needed. That says it all. That's a "this is over" move, isn't it?
Do you think it's really over? I think they're going to get back together.
I don't really know. I'm not in the slightest interested in their marriage staying together. I don't care about them as a couple. But then I'm also thinking, I don't think I'd be interested in Adam in a relationship with anyone necessarily. And it's always sad when a relationship breaks up. And they're not like, I need this couple to split up. They're so bad for each other. It makes terrible television. It's not like that. But I don't know. Do you think that they'll get back together? Is he going to forgive her?
I just can see. I just think she's going to end up being pregnant because just kept, every time she slept with Damon, she was like, I know what's a good idea. I'll sleep with Adam too. And I think that's going to complicate things. Clearly, you can actually find out who the father is while you're pregnant. So I don't know whether that will be what they do. I don't know.
Is that a recent thing?
Yes, I think so.
How do you do it?
Well, there's tests you can do.
Oh.
As early as 9 weeks along, apparently.
You just like stick a needle in there and.
I don't know whether it's a good idea. It's normally better to wait till the baby's born.
Yeah.
But you can take a blood sample.
Oh, okay. Interesting fact. Well, maybe they could go down that route, because I don't think they've done that in Coronation Street before. But yeah, I mean, I've not seen anything, honestly, but it's felt for a few months, and it's not a stretch of the imagination to think that an affair storyline's going to end in a pregnancy, but it's felt like it's been going that way for a while, especially with everything last year about them wanting to have a baby together and then one of them not wanting to have a baby, and now it can definitely be a who's the daddy thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if that isn't if that reveal isn't imminent, to be honest. The question is who would the father be? Because I can see the way that Damon's been acting around Sarah at the moment. I think he would probably quite like the opportunity to be a dad again, don't you? I think he would. Damon, yeah. I think he would probably say, well, it's probably mine. I hope it's mine. I want it to be mine. Maybe she might want to get rid of it just in case. And Damon would be saying, no, don't, because it could be mine. And I really think that we've got something. And although, like I said earlier, I don't really buy his I've changed story. I think I do buy the fact that he's got some kind of emotional investment in Sarah, and it's not just all about the bonking.
Yeah.
I think for him, he probably he's thinking more about it, but for her,
no, she's just being.
It's just literally a roll in the hay, isn't it? But her, but yeah, he's falling for her, and she's feeling neglected.
Now, we know that Adam wanted a baby with Sarah, and she didn't want one.
Yeah.
But I wonder how this story... There's so many options for this story, which is quite... I'm actually not... normally I'd be like, oh, God, pregnancy, following an affair with two men. Oh, it's just really predictable, soapy cliche. But with this, you've got... is she going to tell them both, or is she going to keep it a secret? Is she going to tell one it's his child and not the other, and hope that the other one doesn't notice she's just suddenly pregnant? Or is she going to tell both of them? Are they going to have the same reaction? Because Adam and Damon, like you said, I think they would both be happy to have a son or a daughter. But would Adam actually turn around and say, I hope it's not mine. I realised it'd be the worst thing in the world to have a baby with you. I think you should have an abortion. Yeah. And if he said that, would she then sort of turn to Damon and go to him to ask for him to support, and then it turns out it is Adam's? I don't know.
This is actually kind of history repeating itself, isn't it?
Yep.
Because if you remember when Gail was pregnant with Sarah, there was is it Brian's baby, or is it Brian's cousin, Australian Ian Latimer? And I can't remember all the details of the story.
It wasn't Ian's.
It was not Ian's in the end. But didn't Brian kind of say, I'm not Gail, I'm not, if this baby isn't mine, I'm leaving you. And I think he did leave her for a bit, didn't he? And then he came back once it turned out that it's his. I can't remember what Ian's stance on it was. But yeah, it's quite... It's quite clever that it happened to her when she was conceived, and now it's happening all over again. Gail did say today, I think she kind of hinted at it, and Brian got a mention this week, didn't he, with his luscious locks.
She's just like, look, Gail, it's a curse. Us women in the family were just alluring.
Would you rather the baby was Adam's or Damon's as a viewer?
I mean, I like the idea of it being Adam's just because it's another Barlow.
That's a very good point.
When Ken was telling Sarah off today, I was like, oh, I mean, that's his daughter-in-law.
Hang on a minute, say that again.
Ken was telling Sarah off.
Yes.
I know, it's really difficult. Is it the granddaughter-in-law?
Granddaughter-in-law, yes.
So that would be his great-grandchild, and if that ties the Platts and the Barlows together more than anything else.
Mate,
I really can't remember. Everyone's related to everybody.
Gotta keep the dynasty strong.
But you know what I mean? This could be like, the ultimate Coronation Street character. A Barlow Platt.
I guess so. I guess it could be. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that. I don't really want Damon to stay in the programme. And I'm really sorry, Damon fans, but he's just not working for me. And having Sarah lumbered with his kid, that's gonna give him.
Yeah, well, it didn't work out so bad with her and Callum, did it?
Yeah, well, yes, that quite.
Don't matter, does it?
No, I think.
Just kill him off.
We don't really like pregnancy and baby storylines anyway. We've said over the years, so in a way, is it going to be one of these Corrie pregnancies that ends in a miscarriage or an abortion? Which is, it is the 50% of them.
But I'm trying to remember the last time anyone had a baby on Coronation Street.
It was Abby, wasn't it, last year?
But the thing is, we didn't even know she was pregnant, and neither did she. She just had a baby out of nowhere, and normally there's a pregnancy. I don't know. I just feel like there hasn't been a Corrie pregnancy for a while.
Yeah, I think I've got a feeling that this right now could be the peak of this story, and then it could just go a bit downhill and boring.
Uh-oh.
But I was really at the beginning of this week not ready for another round of Sarah and Damon sneaking around. But I think the moment that was this change for me was when Harry caught them.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of zoom into him
it's
peering
so
round
sad.
the corner for that break time cliffhanger.
This poor kid too, right? He's just ruined his own life, and he doesn't even know it, because it seems like he really loved Adam, and Adam is not going to stick about to help raise Harry.
I think he is, because I think that Adam does feel
I don't
an
think so.
instinct towards Harry.
No, I don't think so. Not based on previous Coronation Street. How many kids have been raised by about 2 different couples on average?
Oh yeah, I know that.
He's never going to see that kid again.
No,
unless he comes back to be with Sarah. He's dumped that kid now. He's not going to give 2 thoughts about him ever again.
Maybe. Well, I don't know.
And this is what I'm just trying to say. This poor kid, he looked out of a doorway, and with that, he's unknowingly just turned his whole life upside down.
I think they need to keep hold of this picture and then have it be discovered in an attic in about 20 years' time or something. And this is when the baby finds out the truth behind its conception.
But you know what I mean? Poor Harry, he doesn't even know what he's done.
No,
it's not
I know.
his fault either.
No,
it's not his fault. But he's now probably gonna have a different dad.
Do you think that Sarah's reaction now is going to be to try and get Adam back,
Yeah,
or is she
grovel.
more likely to just go to
She's
Damon?
gonna grovel. Damon's gonna try and court her. Then she's gonna realise she's pregnant. Then she's gonna tell Adam it's his. Adam's gonna be like, "How do you even know? Well, did you sleep with him at the same time?" And then she's gonna have to be like, "Well, yeah. I mean, pretty much the same day every time." And he's going to be like, "Ew, that's horrible." And then he's going to demand that she has a test. And then she probably will say, "No, I'm not going to, for the drama."
Yeah, well, we'll see. That seems like a...
And then he won't... And then Damon will just, overhear or, open a bin and see a pregnancy test and be like, "Sarah's pregnant with my baby." And then Damon and Adam will have a fight.
I hope so.
Where are we? It's
June.
July, August, September, October, November, December.
Yeah, we're 6 months. We're halfway through the year.
No, I'm working out when she's gonna have the baby.
Oh, when she's gonna have the baby.
She's gonna ruin her brother's birthday by having him on Christmas Day.
Could have a Christmas birthday.
Well, I mean.
Yeah, six months till early December. Stick on a few extras. I don't think they've been together for that long.
No.
But she might have an early one.
Maybe she could have a New Year's baby.
Maybe
she could have a Valentine's Day baby.
That's ruining Nick's birthday then, isn't it? Anyway, I think this is possibly the peak. But I'm glad that at least it had one, because I was really not feeling this story. So
I liked it.
Yeah, it was good. It was
good.
Yeah, it was gripping,
entertaining,
and it honestly it had some great acting all round.
Yeah,
like we said, we were very pleasantly surprised by Harry. Gail was great.
Yeah.
Tina O'Brien, I've always said that I really, really rate her as an actress. I think she is fantastic. They give her some weird stuff to do and boring stuff to do sometimes, but scenes like this show she is, I think, fairly underrated as an actress, actually. I think she's really, really good, and she has been ever since, she was 12, 13 or whatever, since we've seen her on Coronation Street. But I think it's that's really made this week, really. So congrats, Corrie. You've earned my seal of approval.
Also, just want to make it clear that whenever we don't understand what someone is saying, it's funny to me because I can't. It's my fault, not because somebody is saying things wrong or pronouncing things incorrectly. Fault. It's because I cannot understand it, and that makes me laugh at myself.
Yes,
just to be clear.
Exactly. So, should we move on to the next one? Yeah. So the aggravated snobbery storyline.
This is brilliant.
Where on earth, what?
Where did this come from? Brilliant.
Because is this a filler storyline? Is it like what all filler storylines wish they were? Because looking at it, it's just the same as Brian and George making a boat together. Or what other fiddly stories have we had this year? I can't even remember at the moment.
Well, it doesn't matter.
But this is just absolutely perfect. Absolutely brilliant. It's a Baileys storyline. They never get stories. And I've just been very recently saying the Baileys need a story. It's a comedy storyline, which was perfect fit for them. It involved more jibes about Aggie's cooking, which I still never get bored of. It had two brilliant guest cast in, I keep forgetting the man's name, Patrick, Yvette and Patrick. And who is it that plays
I'm
Yvette?
just trying to... Oh, Arabella Weir.
That's it. It all just somehow came together into something that, for me, was an absolute hit. And I haven't seen that much chatter about it online. I've not really been reading many Corrie forums or anything recently, but sometimes, things come in. Did anybody else? Was anyone else just blown away by how brilliant this story was, or is it just me? Arabella Weir, did you say? Mm-hmm. What an utter revelation! And we were watching her on Monday, going, "We reckon that we've seen her before."
I knew I'd seen her before.
But we didn't.
Phil Mealy is the person who plays the other guy.
He's good, but
he wrote Making a Murderer the musical, which sounds brilliant.
There you go. He's obviously plays second fiddle to Yvette in this story, though. But we were watching them on Monday, and we looked at each other and like, do we know her? Have we seen her before? Has she been on Coronation Street before, playing a different character? And we like looking on Coropedia, putting in the actresses, like, nope. And
she's a comedian. She's a well-known comedian.
I don't know where I've seen her. You said she was in the Fast Show, did you? Which I didn't ever watch, I don't think. But I don't know. She was just absolutely fantastic and entertaining. And she's one of these rare characters where, like in their early appearances, I'm there thinking, oh, don't ever leave. But I know in my heart that this completely smacks of guest appearance, doesn't it? She's got a week in her, 2 weeks max.
I'm hoping she's going to come back next week for this charity auction.
Well, she will, because it was at the bistro. She says, isn't she? This is a oh my gosh, I've forgotten her name. Mimi of a character, isn't it? She's snobbish. She's hilarious. But she's like limited time only, so appreciate her while you can.
She was in Doctor Who Christmas Special in 2011.
Oh yeah, I saw that, but that was the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe knockoff, and that was a boring Christmas. I didn't like most of the Christmas Doctor Who's, to be fair. Anyway, so what happened in this story? So there's a Japanese-French fusion night at the hotel later at Chariot Square that Aggie's trying to get Ed to go to. You were furious.
I wanted to see what they were eating.
Yeah, and also, as a connoisseur of both French and Japanese cuisine,
they had pictures of bao buns on the menu. Wrong.
Yeah, that's Chinese, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Even I know that. So anyway, Ed's still kind of gutted about Paul, but it's still that story didn't get much of a mention this week, did it? Apart from we find out from Bernie on tonight's episode that Paul doesn't have the gene he needs for the therapy, so no surprises there particularly. But yeah, he's not really in the mood for getting out, and she says, and then she says, "Oh, maybe I can cook something," and Ed's like, "Oh, you know what, my darling, maybe we can go out tonight then." And that, like, Aggie saying, "Maybe I'll cook something," and then the look that he gave, excuse me, there's my weekly email, was just, that was the thing that pushed this story deliciously in the right direction of comedy. And you never like it when characters on, or female characters on Corrie can't cook, can you? Do you?
Just find it just tiresome.
But I think that it for Aggie, it works somehow.
It's because the joke is based upon the stereotype that women must be able to cook, and it's only funny that a woman can't cook because women should be able to cook. That's why I find it annoying.
Yeah, but I think it's more part of Aggie's personality. I don't know.
It's more built into Aggie than it has been any other character.
Yeah.
She's
the Mrs. Cropley, isn't she, kind of character?
Yeah.
So anyway, so they decide, of course, they're going to go to the hotel. So they're there, they've got some bubbly there, and then this couple turns up who clearly know them and are absolutely thrilled to see them. The Baileys, not so much. They kind of giving it up like,
oh jeez,
I thought that these people are out of our lives for good.
Never have to see them again.
So this couple is Yvette and Patrick. And these are old neighbours from the days when the Baileys used to be rich and had massive house together. So they come from the very classy part of the neighbourhood. Not Weatherfield, apparently, because as soon as Weatherfield gets a mention, they like turn their nose up at it.
Yeah, Weatherfield has not got a great reputation.
How would you describe Yvette? Apart from,
she's who Sally thinks she is.
Yes, that's a really good one.
She's flippant and arrogant and...
Well, I don't think that Sally thinks she's arrogant.
No. But she's just snobbish, and she doesn't seem to have any awareness of other people.
She will openly criticise and look down her nose on people. Enjoy doing it and not care who she might hurt.
Caricature of middle class.
Yeah. And very, very outgoing and bubbly and
she loves being rich.
Yeah.
And she's not like one of these hand-wringing Guardian readers that eat chickpeas from a can to try to make themselves feel like they're suffering.
No, she has a life of opulence and she loves it.
From the money crisis. She's literally like, why would I eat chickpeas? Oh, I've got caviar in the fridge.
Yeah. I didn't get very much of Patrick's personality at all, but he just seems to go along with her. He shares in her jokes when they're looking down their noses at people, but she's the instigator.
Arseholes. But they're not trying to be mean. They're just mean because that's who they are.
Yeah, it's just that comes naturally to them. Of course, we're more better off than you, so why wouldn't we be? So yeah, they turn out. Oh, Alderney Edge, I've written here, is where they used to live. So there we go. And Yvette talks about, oh, Aggie, it's so lovely. We haven't seen you for 3 years or so. I really missed the dinner parties that we had together. And Aggie's like, oh. And Patrick asks Ed, oh, do you still like a flutter? Because Ed obviously used to have be a bit of a gambler, and it turned into a problem. And Ed's
that's why they lost their house.
Yeah, exactly.
And they used to obviously go gambling together, and he's like, oh, I miss going into
Ed's
the
like,
horses.
I don't do that anymore.
Uh-oh.
And the Baileys just don't know where to look at this point, and they soon find themselves cajoled into joining this couple for the fusion tasting experience.
Are you going for this tasting? Well, we're going. Let's all sit together. And
Why
you've
not?
forgotten to mention that Ronnie and Debbie were there as well.
Well, yeah, Ronnie's got nothing else to do at the moment, has he? Why not? So they come out of the tasting later. As you said, we didn't get to see any of it, sadly. And they've had a good time. Ed's clearly not a fan of the small portions.
I can't understand how anybody would go through a tasting menu of more than 4 or 5 courses and still complain that you haven't had enough food.
Ed wishes that was the portion sizes at home, doesn't he? He's like, if I'm going out and actually having proper food, I want to have a man-sized portion of it, he thinks, surely. So they come out, and Yvette says, Aggie, we've had a lovely time. You still got the same number. I've been trying to ring your mobile, but not getting through. And Aggie's like, oh, yeah, I've changed my phone. So she's clearly just trying to cut all ties with her previous life. And they're trying to avoid talking about where they live now. And finally, they're asked outright, where are you now? And they say, oh yeah, we live in Weatherfield. And then the couple make a joke about, we going to a charity organ there the other week, and we got another one coming up. And she says, oh, just like stepping into a Lowry painting. Everyone had rickets and TB. That is a hilarious description. I just absolutely 100% love this character. She is so funny. Wednesday comes along, and Ed and Aggie have been bombarded by texts from Yvette, which they're trying to avoid. And Dee Dee's like saying to them, don't be ashamed of where you live. It's not so bad here anyway, is it? And Ed says, look, I'm not going to have the Alderney Edge posse looking down their noses at your mum. And I think that was quite a gentlemanly attitude. He just doesn't want Aggie to get hurt by their snobbery. But they don't know what to do about it, so they're chatting about it in the cafe later, I think, aren't they? Aggie's talking to Tim and Sally about it, and Tim says, well, why don't you borrow our house?
I just want to say one thing that's been confusing me a little bit about this.
Go.
Now, I don't agree with this, clearly, because I'm not a snob, and also both these people earn more money than I do, so why would I even think this? But I can't help but think that Patrick and Yvette and all the snobs of Alderney Edge would have been looking down their noses at Ed and Aggie the whole time, because Aggie is a nurse and Ed is a builder.
Yeah, but if he he owned his own business.
But I just cannot help but think that they would not have been as welcoming.
Mm,
These are people that are like, you know, company directors and, you know, consultants and computer, like IT entrepreneurs and head teachers and like, you know, HR or whatever. I just can't believe that they would have not already been a snob to these two people. And just to, like I said, just to be clear, they're both out of my league as far as income is concerned. And I think, you know, I wouldn't ever look down on people like that, but I just think that we've clearly seen Yvette be painted as the most outrageous snob Coronation Street may have ever seen, apart from maybe...
She's no Lillian Spencer.
But, you know, I think Yvette would have laughed at Lillian Spencer having her airs and graces because she was a pub landlady.
Yeah, no, that's true. I just wish we hadn't done our Patreon top 5 poshos the other month.
I know.
It's too late to add Yvette into it, although, I don't know, maybe we need to look back on her in a few years' time to see whether she has got a long-lasting impact. But anyway, Tim says that you can have our house, and I think did you suggest that before Tim did?
Yeah,
I think.
was like, this would be so great.
And
it only made me think that because of the original house swap that happened between Sally and
Kevin swapped with Maxine
and Ashley, and that's why they've got that house, because they used to live the other side of the street.
Yeah, exactly. They lived in Hilda's house, didn't they?
So we're like, wouldn't it be funny if they swapped back again?
Yeah. As this was going on, I'm just thinking, this is great. This story is just a fun little caper between some underused characters that are actually got a really good relationship together on screen. Out of anybody almost, I'd say that Aggie and Ed belong together and just fit absolutely perfectly together. Yeah. So I'm not worried there's going to be any kind of fallings out or affairs or anything like that here. It's just a couple, another couple, having a 100% classic Corrie story and let's swap houses, and you think, what could really possibly go wrong there?
Nobody would do this.
But it works so well.
You don't always watch Coronation Street for complete utter hold a mirror up to reality action, do you?
It's I mean, it's a tale as old as time, really, isn't it? But saying this belongs to me when actually it doesn't, borrowing something from someone else.
Well,
but these characters, especially everybody that was involved in this, was just perfect fit.
The thing is, they made it clear that this house was not their house. They were like saying to Yvette and Patrick that we're renting somewhere. But I don't understand why they couldn't pretend they were renting their own house, because on the exterior, Sally's house is nicer than Ed and Aggie's house, because there's always a stigma about terraced houses. But inside, I think Ed and Aggie's house is much nicer and more middle class than Sally's.
Do you reckon? Don't let Sally hear you saying that.
They've got a piano, and I know that Sally's got a conservatory, but anyone can get a conservatory, but not everyone can get a piano.
Anyway, so Sally's turned down this house swap offer, and we next see Aggie.
Well, no.
Yeah, Sally said no because... Sally
looks like
Aggie
awkward,
said no,
and Aggie's like, this doesn't
right.
look like she wants to go for it, so I'll say no.
Yeah, so Aggie sees Yvette coming out of the charity shop later, and she's like, I was surprised to see
you. I'm just dropping off some fabulous things.
Yeah, because it seems that she is involved in charities and the upcoming charity and auction and
she's
everything.
Literally patronising charities.
And she says, Aggie says, sorry, I've not been responding to your messages. I've just been so busy. Look, tell you what, it's a nice little pub that I know. Let's take you there. So that's a bit of a brave move, isn't it? But maybe it's her testing the waters to see what Yvette makes of her street.
Why wouldn't you take it to the bistro?
Yeah, I know.
Because it's not funny, that's why.
We didn't actually get to see any of Aggie and Yvette in the robes,
yes,
did we?
Did
we?
Yeah.
No, but the next time...
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did, because Ed's there, Aggie's
like,
in the loo at first,
because literally she says, it's all a bit grim up north in here, isn't it? It's like, brilliant. Oh my God!
This was just so good. Yeah, that's right. So, but she's with just Ed at the moment, Yvette, and Sally's in the next booth along, listening into this. And Sally's just brilliant, going, what a snob she is.
Yeah, and she's wearing
totally pot calling the kettle black.
She's wearing like one of these padded like gilets, and Yvette's going, I've counted at least 5 anoraks in here, and Tim's like, you're wearing one of those, and she's like, it's a gilet, it's not an anorak.
It's so
and then Yvette says, "Oh, I'm off to the loo. Wish me luck."
Oh yeah,
just brilliant.
So yeah, but when she is in the
yeah.
book, this is when Sally says, "Look, you can
Ed.
have my home to Ed. Look, just tell Yvette it's a rental while they move out of your own house to get an extension." And the plan is set in motion. And I was really, really glad that the pace of this storyline means that we didn't have to wait until next week for it to happen. This is going at just the right speed.
The one thing I really would have liked to have built into this, but they don't have time for all this extra stuff, would have been a scene with Sally trying to help Aggie cook.
She was offering a few tips.
Yeah, but I would have liked to have seen, like, you know, a very extended scene, and, you know, Sally going, "Oh, are you sure you want to do it like that? Look, I've got some really great books," and, like, bring out, you know, the Hamlin 100 greatest compendium for 80s entertaining book with, like, you know, the ham covered in pineapple and glacé cherries.
Yeah, but we still got some good stuff.
Yeah, it was great. My only complaint was I wanted more of it. Just like Ed with his fusion Japanese, French tasting menu.
It feels already that like Monday could be the peak of this story. It could be the climax and what's going to happen at this charity auction. But I really hope not.
It's all gonna, like, if Ed's going to say something outrageous and Aggie's going to go, "That's my neighbours you're talking about. That's right. I do live in Weatherfields and I'm proud."
Of it. Yeah.
And then Yvette will be like, "Oh, come on, Patrick. We're leaving.
Yeah.
Before we catch something."
Friday's episode, we hear that Aggie's already busy at number 4 cooking away. Ed talks to Dee Dee and he's like, "I've told your mother she can't cook, and now she's determined to make the most spectacular meal possible." And what is it she was making there?
French onion brisket with a raspberry coulis, which is a very baffling combination. But I want to say, I have actually made a French onion brisket not that long ago, and it was nice. And then we used the leftovers to make shepherd's pie.
Delicious. Very, very good. So there's a tip for Aggie there. Aggie tells Sally, "Look, I'm just going to start moving the photos out when this makes sense.
I've got to take all your personal effects out."
We've stepped inside the Metcalfe's house, haven't we? And there are many photos of Sally and Tim there. Sometimes the same photo of Sally and Tim repeated all over the place.
If that would be like, "Oh, who's this white guy in a horse you've got a picture of?"
She's and then she says, "I'm going to take you out for a nice meal when this is all over." And then David comes in, and this is like nothing, wasn't it? Apart from the laugh.
Happened.
But he just comes over with this box and is like, "Hey, we just had this package delivered for your house, Tim. Hey, it's vibrating. What's this?" And
what was it?
I think it's supposed to be some kind of sex toy.
Oh, we shouldn't put the batteries in.
No, not in the packet. No purpose of that really, apart from for the laughs. So Aggie, we do get to see a little bit of cooking, and there's a bit of in-oven cam, isn't there?
Oh, we loved it.
As she removes the brisket, the dry brisket from the oven.
And yeah, Sally's
trying to be tactful and give her a few tips and things, but Aggie's like,
"Oh,
"No, I'm fine."
Aggie says, "I want the outside to be crispy," which is never a word that you put with brisket.
Crispy brisket.
No.
Sounds good.
No.
So Ed comes around later, but he's not wearing the shirt that Aggie picked out for him.
I love this.
He's in trouble
This was
already.
the perfect husband-wife conversation. Because she's like, "Why are you wearing that?" "Oh, I just found it." He's like, "You would have had to have moved the one I put out for you to get that one." Oh, it's like, just, yeah.
This is why I totally buy them as a couple. They delivered that so well.
Yeah, I love that. They're really perfect.
Then to add to the hilarity, Tim comes down in Aggie's pink polka dot dressing gown. Oh, sorry, Sally's dressing gown.
Aggie's like, "I've got to move my clothes in."
And he says, "Oh, spilled a cheese toasty or something over my other one." So then Aggie's just getting mega stressed out about the whole situation.
Sally turns up. Elaine turns up.
And Aggie's like, "Go, please go. You need to leave me alone." And Tim nips upstairs to get changed.
Well, he
but
tries
then,
to.
because they're interrupted by Yvette and Patrick, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I've just arrived a few minutes early." And Aggie then has to introduce their neighbours, Tim and Sally, from across the street. And
Elaine's like, "What?"
This was just again the perfect situation with Tim and Sally being introduced as the neighbours, and Yvette saying, "Oh, Sally, you need to stay." And Sally starts then going on about how wonderful the house is because
I
she
loved it.
craves people telling her what a lovely house she lives in. She was like, oh, you know what? Aggie and Ed really fallen on their feet with this place. It's, it's got a conservatory and everything. It was so funny.
Hot tub.
And and Yvette's going, well, it's not that great.
It's a bit of a hovel.
Yeah. And so Sally's got her nose put right out of joint there.
Oh, and then
she's like saying, this is probably only like the size of one room in your new place, eh, Aggie?
And then Aggie tries to big Sally up, doesn't she, to say thanks, going, oh, Sally practically runs the factory up the road single-handed, and that's when Yvette's like, what, there's an actual factory on the same street where you live?
Dark Satanic Mills.
Oh my god, she's so funny. She's such a bitch.
She really is a bitch. She's the best
so
of
great.
bitches.
I know. Best in show.
Yes. And then it's home time, and Yvette's like, don't forget we got our charity auction at the bistro on Monday.
I'm
Be
so
there, be
sad
square.
we didn't get any scenes of everybody having to shovel mounds of dried up crispy brisket
yeah
into their mouths.
Yeah, what would Yvette's reaction to that have been? Anyway, so
there should have been a scene where her going,
I wanted a whole episode that was just this story, honestly.
This is very agricultural tasting, but I suppose that the shops around here don't really carry any organic meat.
So they're off later. Sally's in a bit of a strop about the thing that Yvette's been saying about her house, but she does leave with a spring in her step because it's down to Aggie and Ed to do the washing up. So Sally's off to the Rovers.
Well, Aggie gave Sally a bit of a glare when Sally was like, right, well, I'll see you later when you've tidied up. But I was thinking, hang on, this is how you've borrowed her house. You should be cleaning up.
Yeah, she should be.
I know you gave her some food as well, but you still got to tidy her house up and put her pictures back. Even the one of Tiny and Tim.
So I'm very much looking forward to this story. This was the
really
story
want more.
where
I want more.
when it's a good story when they cut to that scene.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it's another scene from this story.
The only way,
and that doesn't happen loads.
No.
Even on the generally good storylines, I'm like, okay, it's a Daisy scene. Okay, great. But this is like, yes, it's another scene of this deliciousness.
do you know what the only way to have improved this would have been?
What?
The lady from the Donkey Sanctuary. Yeah. And it turns out not Arabella, sorry,
Yvette.
That's the actress. Yvette actually is the one who runs the rival Donkey Sanctuary.
Yeah,
she's
the Weatherfield North one.
She's the one that's heavily involved in fundraising for Weatherfield North Donkey Sanctuary.
Oh my
that would be brilliant. I bet you that is actually the backstory.
I really hope that they've given it to a good writer on Monday, because I know I don't know many of the writers' names even after all these years, but I did recognise that the second half of today's episode was a Jan McVerry one.
Yeah, brilliant.
It was just superb, so good.
It was just so funny. That just a really good guest character can just lift the week so much.
Yes,
I love it.
Yeah, this is how you do filler. Honestly, Corrie,
more of
it. And this is proper classic comedy. It's not people being stupid. It's not people being thick. It's not Mary going off and going,
turn it into ranting about things they've done wrong.
Sorry, but this is what it should be.
This was just great.
You
didn't need to overthink it. It wasn't complicated. It wasn't anything you could have like fed this prompt into Chat GPT and come out with everything that this scenario.
Yeah.
But because of the acting, because the lines were funny, it was just such a joy to watch. It really was.
It feels like it could have come straight out of the 1960s. Honestly, it really, really could.
So good. And nice to see the Baileys as well.
Yeah,
and nice to see the Baileys interacting really heavily with another family.
Yep. And you know what? It wasn't a story about the Baileys and all their issues that they've had. It wasn't about them being black.
Well,
it wasn't about their son being gay. Ooh. It wasn't about anything like that. It was just a family against family comedy story.
It was about them
It was about affluence.
It was about them not having a big house anymore.
Yeah, well...
But I tell you something, if you want a big house again, Aggie and Ed, you've got to stop going off to your fusion nights and spending all your money on avocado toast. Otherwise, you're never going to have a kitchen island.
Oh,
like Sally has.
My theory that I shared with you on, it must have been Wednesday's episode, was that perhaps they have also fallen upon hard times, Yvette and Patrick, and it may well be revealed that they live in a place that's maybe even worse than Aggie and Ed do, and that's why they want to go around their house for tea, because they can't afford anything themselves other than turkey twizzlers and smiley potatoes.
They should be so lucky.
Do you think that that's it?
Maybe they live on Maudsley Street.
Maybe they do. It's like,
that would be quite funny.
You can't have a snob on Coronation Street without them being taken down many, many pegs. Yep. And I think that having them, it turns out that they actually live round the corner from the Dog and Gun or something would be the perfect conclusion to this. But I want them to come back. I want them to
You
stay.
said that when you saw Yvette coming out of the charity shop, and you were like, what if she's actually in there to buy something?
I mean, we do know from there is a charity auction going on that she is involved in charities as a donor, I assume. I mean, maybe it's more than that, but yeah, that's what put the idea in my head.
Funny twist. Well, we don't know, but I'm happy no matter what, because I enjoyed that very much.
Oh yeah, I really, really did.
Well done, Corrie.
Right, on to more serious, harrowing storylines, Gemma. Although very much an exciting one on Monday with the court case climax.
Oh, yes.
The Justin case. Over to you.
On Monday we were still waiting for the verdict, weren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, everyone is.
And we just seen Daisy giving Ryan a good old snog in the ginnel.
Yes.
The day before, Friday.
I've been kind of forgetting about that.
I know,
this
me
week.
too.
This whole story, I didn't mind the trial stuff. I thought it was quite on the edge of my seat sort of stuff, and the verdict actually kind of surprised me. But it was like almost as soon as that trial finished, my interest for this story plummeted off a cliff, and I there's just the momentum for it's gone. I'm not interested in the remnants of this now, apart from maybe what's going to happen with Karen then, but they don't seem to be going down that route very much. But anyway, remind us about the best bit of the week of this story on Monday.
Right, so Daisy and Ryan are looking guilty. They get into separate cars. They're not talking to each other. They're in a huff, going to court. And then we have Justin. He's in the dock and he's just being so creepy. Oh, he reminds me of that android out of Alien.
I don't know.
Any of them. They're all creepy.
That's a pop culture reference. Of course, I don't understand it.
Yellow face. So he's just there, like serenely smiling, like the latest cult member.
Yeah.
Daisy's lawyer is he's done his swimming up to the jury, like they're all at the bar, and he's just like swimming up to them, going, "Hey, can I get a Mai Tai?" He's giving his summing up to the jury, and he's saying it was stalking. The police didn't act. Culminated in an acid attack. It's obvious. Daisy and Ryan presented you with evidence. Deliberate. There's really only one verdict you can come to. He is guilty. Then the defence lawyer comes up and she's like, Daisy's a manipulative liar. She can't be trusted. Look at her Instagram. The stalking protection order wasn't granted because there wasn't any evidence. So why would you believe her?
She does the whole thing which the defence have got to do, in that just kind of fingers crossed that people will get the beyond reasonable doubt part. Like that's always the get out clause, isn't it? It seems to be for defence lawyers. Unless you saw it happen
yourself, I cannot see how. Anyway, we've talked about that.
Yeah, she says, unless you can be sure beyond reasonable doubt that Mr. Rutherford threw the acid, you simply have to return a verdict of not guilty.
Yes, that's exactly correct.
I know, I wrote it down.
And also, I think Nancy pointed this out to us too. We were a bit confused about what the theory that the defence was proffering, and it was that it was Daisy and Ryan together plotted the attack.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't understand. Why would they? Anyway,
yeah.
so it was
Daisy's
them together.
not feeling hopeful about this, it seems.
And Daisy's like, oh dear, I think this might work. And Justin's like, ha ha ha. So Daisy and Daniel go to the cafe while the jury are having a little bit of a chat.
Bit of a conflab.
And Daniel's having to reassure Daisy, who is a bit worried. And they sit down and he's like, do you know, there was a weird look between you and Ryan this morning. Is there something that I should know about about you two.
Something happened between you two.
And Daisy says on Friday night, Ryan just kept talking about Crystal and how she's the only thing that's keeping him going, and she can't take line to him about this anymore. And Daniel's like, just end it for good. Just stop the whole thing because it's not good for you and it's not good for him. And she says, I can't bring myself to do it. So they return to the court, and Daisy's left alone with Ryan, and she's like about to say something, but then the jury's like, a man comes. He's like, the jury's come to a decision. The jury's come to a decision. So everybody piles back in to the court. Justin's looking smug. The foreman's asked to stand, and me and you are thinking, it's going to be found not guilty. It's going to be found not guilty.
Yeah.
It's because
I just, my theory about Justin climbing up the scaffolding, I was sure. And I was sure about it for Britain's Got Talent weekend, and I was sure about it for this week, and now I'm thinking, oh, maybe that's not going to happen
I was
at all,
just
but
like,
it's a really good theory.
How can this story go anywhere if Justin's found guilty and goes inside?
I suppose that's maybe what Karen's for, because she's still on the outside, isn't she? And she's still
Wow.
Yeah, she's out for revenge.
Wow. Yeah, so Justin's looking smug, and the foreman's asked to stand, and they say the verdict, and that is guilty. And we're like, what? Because I did actually do a poll. I don't think I can find it anymore. Just before the verdict was read, to ask people what they thought, and it was kind of evenly split, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On our Twitter, as to whether people thought he was going to be found guilty or not. And Justin's like, oh, looks like a rabbit in headlights. He's led away, and he calls up, Daisy, I still love you. We'll be together. And Daniel is not happy because immediately Daisy's reaction is to turn around to Ryan and see how he is, ask him how he is, whereas Daniel was turning to her. And this reminds me of that. I've heard this body language tip. In a group of people, when somebody makes a joke, or if you make a joke, the person you look to first is the person that you care the most about. Okay. So when you're laughing and everyone's laughing, whoever the person makes eye contact with first is the person that they... It's interesting. It's something to bear in mind too if you're in a group of people and, and you're making a joke, like who do you lock eyes with?
I'd have to look out for that next time.
I tell you what, I've since I heard that in a group of people, it's so telling. It really is telling. And so Daniel's kind of picking. I mean, it's not as good of a tip to say in a court case, the person you look at when the guy who's stalking you gets found guilty first is the one you like the most. It's not as handy of a tip.
No.
So anyway, he looks. She looks, he looks, and Daniel's a bit annoyed. So everybody bundles out of the courtroom. They bump into Karen, and she's upset, and she darts out, and probably never to be seen again. Daniel shakes Ryan's hand, thanks him for everything, and they all head their separate ways, but they all kind of end up at the Rovers, don't they? Daniel, Daisy and Carla are there at the Rovers, and Carla's like, Daniel's all on edge, and he's always snapping at me, and I'm just thinking it's probably because of Crystal, because she hasn't texted him for ages. What do you know about her? Is she like the sort of person who's going to mess him around? And Daniel says, no, he would never do that. And Carla says, I think I'll ring her up, actually. And Daisy's like, no, don't do that. Ryan wouldn't like it. But I was thinking, Daisy should have said, like, you're basically his mum. How do you think how would you cope if, like...
Yeah, Carla should just keep her neb out, really.
You honestly can't...
That's super embarrassing.
This wouldn't work in Ryan's favour. Hello, I'm Ryan's aunt, kind of. Anyway, Daisy goes to visit Ryan in his flat, and he is not in the mood. He doesn't want to talk to her. He doesn't want to watch a film. He doesn't want to go for a walk. And she says that I just want to hang out with a mate. And he says, mates don't kiss each other. It's best if you just keep away from me. And she says, look, we'd be friends. And he says, I don't think we can be. I don't think we should see each other anymore. So back at home, Daniel brings Crystal up again. And clearly Ryan's falling for her. And Daisy says, I'm gonna tell him, I'm gonna let him down gently. And when he's strong enough, he's not strong enough now. I can't do it to him. So later, this is great. This was what you predicted.
What?
Later on, Ryan is talking to Carla. Like,
I don't even remember predicting.
No, I don't remember you saying this.
But yeah, somebody said that I did. So.
Right, so Ryan says, to Carla, why has Crystal not been texting me? I'm going to see what she's up to. So he looks on her Instagram. She's in a coma. Apparently her PR lady...
She's in a coincidence soap coma.
Apparently her PR lady is like, this woman, my client, Crystal, is important enough that I have to tell everybody she's busy, otherwise they'll wonder, and I have to let them know that she's in a coma. So he's trying to find out what on earth has happened. Why is she in a coma? Is she going to be all right? Then he gets a text, and it's from Crystal, and she's like, "Sorry, I've not been in touch. There's loads going on," and his mind's blown. He and Carla are baffled, and Carla says, "Are you sure that you've been actually messaging Crystal this whole time?" And Ryan's like, "Nope, I've been catfished."
Oh yeah, that was the cliffhanger at the end of the episode, wasn't it? I've been catfished.
I saw...
So that was an odd way,
an
odd thing, a conclusion to come to straight away.
I'm going to say, I've not been a young man.
I have.
But you haven't been a young man in the area of social media.
No, that is true.
But I'm going to say that I think this might be a common concern of young men on the internet, that they're talking to a hot girl.
Yeah.
And if there's any suspicion that she might not be who she says she is, immediately you're going to be like, I'm being catfished. I don't think this is a leap. I think this is totally logical. I don't think your first concern is, oh, one of my friends who's also gone through a similarly traumatic event must be pretending to be Crystal to make me feel better. You're going to think that you're being catfished. It's just much more logical.
I just think that the jumping to that conclusion and using the phrase catfish,
no,
it
I
did
think that's
seem
fine.
a little bit PSA.
I don't know. I'm not that in that demographic, but I'm just saying, in pop culture there are so many references to catfishing, and I think also, I'm not saying that Ryan's got a misogynistic bent to him, but I do think that men are concerned that women are trying to trick them all the time on the internet. They think, oh, women are always out to get something. You know, all these hot women, they're never who they say they are because, women are evil. And I just think, anyway, right, so on Wednesday, Ryan's like, I feel like an idiot. Who is this person and why is she pretending to be Crystal? And Carla says it could happen to anybody. We need to find out who it is, and then we need to report them to the police. And then we see Crystal's phone held by Daisy, and it gets a message from Ryan saying, "Who are you?"
Yeah, Daisy's just like panicking quietly in the pub behind the bar on Wednesday, isn't she?
Carla comes into the pub and tells Daisy about Ryan's discovery, and she's like, whoa.
She does a really poor job of pretending to be surprised
by this. Can we say that Charlotte Jordan does a really good job of Daisy not reacting in an incredibly realistic way.
Although Carla doesn't notice.
Wait, why?
She's got too many other things on her mind, like selling a factory.
Carla's saying, I've got to get to the bottom of this. And she's like, oh no. Daisy goes to see Ryan, and he's just feeling, as you would do, incredibly self-pitying about this. Why would I even think that anyone would be interested in me? Why would anyone do this to me? And Daisy's like, well, it must have been Justin and Karen trying to get...
Sneaky get.
I know, this was low. This was a bit of a low point for Daisy if she hadn't already had several of those.
Not as low as gaslighting your own child. I mean, this week wasn't a good look for Corrie woman, was it? You were a manipulative
Well, hang
bunch.
on. Daisy and Sarah have both been flying the flag for saucy minxes. Just going around behind everyone else's backs. Anyway, so, she says it was probably Justin and Karen trying to get information about him about the trial. And he's like, really? I don't think they go to lengths like that. And if I was Daisy's like, they've done worse. Look at your face. What do you mean? Just draw a line under it and move on. Later on, Carla's bought into this theory of Daisy's, and she's like, we've got to get Karen in trouble about this. We've got to report her. And Ryan says, I'm too upset with the whole thing. I don't want to deal with it. And he's got the chat... the Crystal's contact details, and his fingers hovering over the delete button.
Did he? I can't remember whether he actually did it.
We don't know.
We might know. We might not just have seen it.
Well,
but it doesn't particularly matter either way, does it?
I don't think it really matters anyway. So we also get on Friday, which was, I love this, Daisy was like, I'm having a bit of a crisis about myself. Am I a good person or a bad person? So she finds a quiz.
Can I do this quiz on you? Because you do sometimes think that you're a horrible person. I have to keep convincing you, don't I? You're always saying you're a horrible person. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're lovely.
Okay.
So this is going to be the definitive answer to this.
This will tell you once and for all.
I don't know how many yeses you need on this, Gemma, but...
it's an incomplete quiz because we didn't get the bottom of the page, so we don't know.
I think I know what you're going to answer some of these.
Okay, right.
I definitely know the answer to this, number one.
Okay.
Do you hold a grudge?
Yes
or no? Gemma, you really hold a grudge, don't you?
Does
Forever.
that mean have a
You're
list
on
on
Gemma's
your phone?
list. She writes it in
I
permanent
do write
ink.
names. I do write names down.
Okay, number two. Do you get irrationally jealous?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that you do. What would you be jealous of?
Well, irrational.
I suppose you get... Well, yeah, you get jealous of people having more stuff.
No, I don't.
Better things.
See,
husbands that
hang
aren't
on.
working all the time, that kind of stuff.
See, we've got friends at the moment who are on a very expensive holiday somewhere I've never even heard of, and I don't want to go there at all. I've got no interest in a beach. A beach holiday sounds to me like it should be banned under the Geneva Convention for dullness. But I'm a bit jealous.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go.
I wouldn't say you're an irrationally jealous person.
All right. Oh no, I'm not.
Okay. Number three. Can you share with others?
I'll have to. No, I hate it.
Yes, you can. You got. See, you're answering them wrong.
Okay. Yes, I can share, but
you're good. You're you're a good host. You share all your food, and you do these delicious dinner parties and everything. You like to give people things. You're a very generous giver.
I do prefer to give than receive.
Yes. Next one, number four, and I know you know the answer to this one
as
well.
Is it?
Do you give to charity?
Yeah, I do.
You do. We did do some charity giving this week. We'll come to that in the news section later.
Yeah. I also tell you what I like. We've got this accounting app called Emma that we use, and whenever I play the lottery, it comes up as charity, and I'm like, yes, that's right.
Do you care for the environment?
Now, I'm gonna have to say here that sometimes I put things in the bin that should be in the recycling, and I know I'm doing it, and I go, I don't care.
I think.
And I also, another time I remember, I was walking down the road, and there was a man from Greenpeace there, and he had his clipboard, and I already had the answer in my head. That was no. No matter what he said, I was like, no. And he said, do you care about whales? I went, no. And then I kept walking, and I felt really bad.
Well, you should have come back and said, oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about the country.
I also hate Scotland as well.
Okay, number 6. Can you listen to others?
Yes.
You love a good podcast, don't you?
Yes.
So you've got the yeses you get. You're not horrible.
Am I horrible?
No.
Is there another question?
There's another 4.
Is there?
Do you have respect for others?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you listen to your friends' advice?
I don't ask advice. I don't need notes. I don't want notes.
Are you sincere?
No.
And last one, do you care for animals?
Yeah. Well, specific ones. I mean...
You don't care for spiders,
I eat some
do
of
you?
them, which is rude, isn't it?
So I don't think you're... I think you're maybe only a semi-horrible person.
Mixed. Yeah. I'm no more horrible than anyone else.
About yourself.
I'm average.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we don't know what Daisy's results were. But I presume there wasn't a question that was, have you ever made somebody think that you raped them?
Have you catfished?
Or did you try to break up your stepmom's relationship? Or did you get somebody's face covered in acid? Did you cheat on your fiance? I presume those weren't involved because she would have only been able to conclude she is horrible. Anyway, she feels bad about blaming the crystal thing on Karen. Why on earth would you care about that? Yeah. There's so many other things you've done. Daniel tells her that it's all over with now. You're not horrible. Forget about it. Great. Presumably on Daniel's survey, it would say, have you ever just dismissed your fiance's worries with a glib, don't worry about it. Forget about it. I don't care. Also, another question for Daisy. Have you ever engaged in a prolonged relationship with somebody purely on the basis of the fact they inherited a big house from their mum?
You ask the real questions in your survey.
I know exactly how to get to the heart of the matter. So anyway, Daisy goes to Ryan's flat to see him, and Crystal's out of the coma apparently, but he's like, I don't know if I'm going to go and see her because this is really awkward. And I also don't want to see you.
Well, as far as he knows now, she's
He's never
totally
even
forgotten who he even is.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe she has because of the coma, literally.
Probably. And he says, look, just stay away from me. And she doesn't really want to, but she has no choice, particularly, does she?
No. I just found that the constant back and forth of Daisy, she seems to be spending more time arriving at Ryan's flat than she is at work at the pub at the moment, isn't she? And certainly more time at Ryan's flat than she is at her own house. I'm just like, it feels like it's on repeat, and I'm not really interested. And it's a shame because I loved all the stalking stuff. The acid stuff was great. I didn't even mind parts of the catfishing bit, but it feels like it's just wearing a bit thin now. It feels like it's been going on a little bit long. And I don't find myself particularly caring about what's going to happen next. What do you think?
Well, I wonder whether this whole thing is going to... Because we haven't had the sentencing.
No, that's very true, actually. That's still to come.
Are they just going to be like, Justin, you're naughty, but the court, the prisons are just too full of other naughty criminals?
Yeah, I can't remember whether it's a definite custodial. I can't remember what they said.
I'm just thinking, honestly, the I feel like Justin's only way out of this is because you convinced me of this. It's your fault. A dramatic scaffolding death, and if I don't get it, I'm gonna worry he's.
If it is, I hope it happens soon because it's the Justin bit of this that's keeping me interested more than what's going to happen between Daisy and Ryan. That kiss last week was very aggravating, but I wasn't really thinking about it this week. I'd kind of forgot it happened through most of the week. I'm just. Yeah, really, really in no way fussed by this. But maybe it was just because some of the other storylines were interesting me more. I don't know.
With somebody like Justin, the thing is, if he's going to be put in prison, I don't know how long it would be for. It wouldn't be for ages, surely.
I don't know. I mean, throw an acid attack. I know they're 10 a penny in Manchester at the moment. Apparently. 300 a year, apparently. But you can't just give someone a slap on the wrist and say, don't do it again. Use beer next time, as per Coronation Street tradition.
I mean, really, the thing is about acid attacks is that a lot of them are, like we said before, they're actually men doing it to other men. Not so much... And when you think... if you're thinking of a stereotypical acid attack, you're normally thinking of... kind of like what Justin's doing, which is to punish a woman by destroying her beauty for not giving you the love you feel you deserve.
Yeah.
But without kind of heaping too much sympathy upon a monster, he obviously is mentally unwell.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm yawning.
Does he know that he? Does he know that he did the... Does he know it was wrong? I'm really confused.
Even as he was being taken down, he was
didn't
like,
get
Daisy, we will be together again.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to live in reality, and it feels like he honestly needs mental help. He's not going to get that in prison. He's not going to get that, I presume, if he doesn't have a custodial sentence. So, as far as soap justice is concerned, he's not a main character, so we don't care about him as much as we care about the other characters. Is really the only way out for him death? I mean, it sounds dramatic, but we're not.
No such thing as over dramatic in a soap.
But we're not concerned about him, are we? He's been portrayed as somebody who's got a very loose grasp on reality, but we're not. It's not in a sympathetic way, is it? We've had Karen come along, but even she hasn't managed to really push the needle anywhere as far as saying he wasn't always like this. Something terrible's happened to him, and I think he just needs. I mean, she turned, into a double agent, didn't she? And, it'd be nice to live in a world where Justin would have not even got this far, but it is a fictional television show. We can't all be saints and have everybody have the perfect, moral solution. So just throw him off the scaffolding, I think, onto a pole or something.
Anyway, before we move on, because I honestly, I don't think I've got much more to say about this story. It's great. It's really, really lovely that it won all those soap awards and everything. But I'm thinking, it needs to maybe come to a conclusion. But anyway, we do need to mention a message we got this week from our legal advisor, Sally Ann Matthews. Thank you very much, as always, Sal. Because we just can't keep some of these legal facts in our heads. We were talking last week about whether the barrister was able to represent Justin, even though or whether or not she suspected that he was guilty or not.
Yes.
So she has sent us a message. Which do you want to explain? I'm just thick.
If you're a barrister and you think the person's guilty, you can still represent them. But if they say I did it, and then they say in court I didn't do it. Then you can't represent them. Right, okay. So basically, you can have whatever opinion you want in your own head. Yeah. All you have to do, as Sally Ann Matthews told us, is make sure the law is followed correctly. Okay. And she told us off, because we keep forgetting that we've been told this a million times.
It will happen again, I'm sorry.
Well, this is why you don't take legal advice from podcasters. No. But yes, thank you, Sal, for setting us straight again.
So Justin has not told... his
I don't think it even came into it. I don't even know where we were talking about it, to be honest. No, because I don't know. It never at any point came into the show about whether or not this.
Well, it was because she was fabricating this completely unbelievable story, quite frankly. Oh, okay. That Ryan threw the acid on himself accidentally, and we think, well, surely she must know that Justin is guilty, otherwise she wouldn't have to come up with this cock and bull story. Has he told her that he did it?
I like I've said before, I completely believe in the staunch defence of anybody, as you know, in legal terms, no matter what they've been accused of and how guilty they are, just because I think everybody deserves defence. And more importantly, if you dick about and you're defending somebody, and then
is this from the legal textbook?
This is legal.
It says here in How to Be a Lawyer.
If you're dicking about, no, but seriously, if you don't do your job properly, and then it gets found out that you were dicking about, I'm just gonna say this is not endorsed by Sally Ann Matthews. It's just me being but you could end up derailing the whole thing, and the whole thing has to be done again. Yeah. Everybody has to have proper defence according to the system that we have.
The legal system is kind of based on that, isn't it?
The system, say what you want about it, but you have to follow it. You can't just have people going, well, I think he did it, so I'm not going to bother turning up to court, for goodness sake. Yeah. I really get annoyed when people get mad at the evil one whenever there's a court case, and there's always like, oh, I'm the bad lawyer that's being horrible about a character that you all like, and everyone on Twitter's like, oh, I hate her.
I'm wondering, just before we move on, about whether Daisy is going to confess or whether she's going to be found out about being Crystal. Yeah, what's going to happen, because there aren't many people that know that it was her.
Well,
but there's no reason for her to confess, is there?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because is she still romantically interested in Ryan, or is she just still feel bad? I don't know what she's thinking.
I don't know what she was thinking when she snogged his face off last week.
We really need her to have a confidant, don't we? Is she going to tell Jenny what's happening?
I'd quite like that.
Because then we can get a read on what she actually thinks. Because at the moment, I mean, like we said, Charlotte Jordan, she won, spoiler alert, she won awards for her performance, in this storyline, rightfully so. But she's having to do a lot of heavy lifting with just her facial expressions and, the lines and things. But we still don't really know what she's thinking and who she want. Does she want Daniel?
Gosh, sorry, I muted that earlier.
Does she want to stay with Daniel? Does she want a relationship with Ryan? She just feel guilt. Like, we don't know. I need her to talk to Jenny, please, so we can find out. Yeah. And also, we love a good Jenny and Daisy scene, and exactly. I'm so thrilled about how well they did it at the awards. They deserve it.
We'll talk about that in the canon, can't we, later? So, Justin is going in, but this week, Mac's out of prison. So, And this is where we just get to see plenty of Alia being a victim,
Oh,
doesn't she? So they're in the back garden in Monday's episode.
Honestly, at the moment, I feel like whenever Alia's in it, I'm like, this is just bait for us to be horrible about her on the podcast. Stop putting her in the show.
I know they're just trying to get us to say something horrible.
It's to out us as the evil cretins that we are.
I mean, lovely,
isn't it?
Really. So yeah, they're in the garden putting up the washing or something, aren't they? And then she overhears the Platts over the fence.
Yes, I mean in Alia.
Yeah, talking about Max might be coming home again soon, and Ali's like, "Oh no, how can he?
Well, he's barely been in.
He nearly blew me up.
We didn't really, did he?
No. So she's like, well, and anyway, so
I'd
kind of forgotten just how close. I mean, it's obvious, really, but yeah,
Surely, in real life, you would not be allowed to move back next door to the person that you were convicted of. You know, Alia, again, are we going to get messages from Sal telling us we don't know what we're talking about? But surely she should get a restraining order or something, or
he's not allowed. He's got his beeper
on his
and he's not allowed to go within 50 meters of the speed.
He's not allowed to go within
50
50 meters of speed dial, but it was Alia that got blown up, not speed dial.
Yeah, we make fun of her, but I think if this was somebody I knew in real life,
yes,
of course. How
100%,
awful
100%.
to have somebody who stabbed you coming back to move next door.
He didn't stab her.
Hmm?
He didn't stab her.
Oh no, sorry, he didn't stab her, did he?
He just wrote a very compelling video as to why she should be stabbed.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, I forget what happened, but you're right.
Yeah, I mean, real life Alia, 100% sympathy. I'd make her a cake. Show Alia. I think she's turned into just a Lady Tim. Everything she does, I hate.
So,
but it's out of love.
Yes. In prison, Gav is kind of getting Max hyped up about leaving, but he's not feeling it, is he? We kind of get the impression as Monday's episode goes on that he's actually a bit nervous about going out. He feels like maybe he hasn't served
the great
all his
weight of the enormity of what he's done is pressing down on him.
Yeah, he feels terrible about it, and he's just.
You keep burping.
Sorry.
Basil and garlic aioli.
It was a very nice sandwich, thank you. Yeah, he's just distracted by this TV remote that doesn't seem to work properly, but there's obviously something going on there. And when Max meets David later in the waiting room, David's trying to crack jokes.
He's supposed to be leaving that day, and David's going to pick him up.
No, I thought that that they were about to go into a meeting to see whether he can be picked up early. And David makes some joke about finishing his sentence, or I can't remember what it was.
Finishing each other's sentences.
Yeah, and he's like, and Max isn't playing
funny.
ball with us. He's not enjoying it. And then
Prison
the prison guard
is
was like, nope. So Max is back in his cell later, and he's absolutely fuming. But he has been told he's allowed to go out. He's allowed to go home. Gav comes in and he's like, "Oh yeah, well, congrats, mate. Don't forget to go and see Beck for me. Why are you in the mood though?" Max is like, "No, I'm fine." But he is definitely looking quite worried when Gav leaves him to himself again. And then so David's waiting at the front of the prison, going, "Where's Max? I gotta get home. Got a bit of tea on." But somebody comes in and says there's been a situation, and that is that Max refuses to leave. He's like, "There's no point. I'm staying here. Can't go back to the street."
Probably doesn't happen very much.
I know, it makes you wonder. I mean, I guess with some prisoners, they got so acclimatised to it in prison. And
we've all seen the Shawshank Redemption.
The outside is petrifying, but it's not quite that.
He's
for
not
Max.
been in long enough to be institutionalised.
No, I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying that maybe there might be times when that happen.
Yes.
I think Max is feeling, I've not served my time yet. I've not atoned for what I've done, maybe. But really, I think it's just being nervous.
Ashamed of himself.
Yeah, he's mega ashamed of himself, but also very, very nervous about being shunned by the community when he gets out.
Say one thing about this, and that I don't feel like I've seen Max have an epiphany. He seems to have come to a gradual realisation over time, but we've not seen that happen.
What Griff was saying was actually
not true at all. And I would have liked to have actually seen that happen. I mean, I know that Alia confronted him and stuff, but
yeah,
I don't feel like that felt more like a triumphant moment for Alia, putting Max in his place rather than a character development moment for Max.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know.
He seems to have completely realised that he was wrong, but there was definitely a point when he was in prison where he was thinking, oh, I still don't think I did anything wrong.
I still stand by some of the things that I said.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is quite a sweet scene, really, between him and David. It ends with David putting his arm around him, and Max is there with his head in his hands, and I've got mega sympathy for him, but I know a lot of people don't. And one of the people who doesn't have sympathy for him is Gail, who is
having a week,
again.
she
is having a week on Monday. Max comes in and she's like, "You're gonna have to work really hard to get people around here to forgive you." She still is utterly disgusted by her grandson's behaviour.
Think about Gail. She's lived in this neighbourhood for decades.
Yeah.
And this stupid, snotty little grandkid of hers, has just completely ruined, the family. Not that she cares about the reputation of the family, but how's she gonna look people in the eye knowing that her grandson is a massive racist?
To be fair to Max, I think the reputation of the Platts was probably ruined quite a while ago.
Yeah, but they weren't racists.
No, they were many things, but not that. So she's like in a mood with him. Even Lily is as well, because I think it was earlier on that episode, and I missed. I don't know whether I wrote it down or whether we didn't say it or what. But Lily overhears the adults talking about the fact.
She didn't realise why he was there.
Yeah, that Max was racist, so she won't speak to him. And Gail's like, well, you're going to have to get used to that kind of reaction from people around here, I'm afraid. So Max, fair play to him, goes and speaks to Lily outside. Rather than saying, well, screw you then, he goes and tries to be a nice little older brother to her. And she's like, I'm really sorry for what I did. And Lily says, Dad says you were groomed. Is that right? Is it not your fault? I thought that using the word groomed was a little bit old for somebody her age, but maybe
I think you need to teach kids what that is
maybe
as soon as
David
they understand.
Has had the talk with her. Maybe he taught her.
I don't think it's necessarily going to help, because I think that children are vulnerable. But
and he says that he says it's my fault, but now it's my job to prove that I've changed. And she says, have you changed? And he's like, yeah. And she says, good, because you're an idiot, a racist idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go, Lily. This was the scene when we get to see her lead footballing skills.
She was footballing,
yeah. She was definitely footballing there. And Max is walking down the street, and it basically seems like everyone that he meets is someone who's got beef to him, and including, at this point, Yasmin. And then Yasmin has a massive heckling sesh at him. David has to defend him.
Of course.
Yeah. And then Alia is agreeing, and this is where Yasmin does, they put a woman, a man. And she tells David, look, you make sure that Max stays away from me and my family. And David is left, you pointed out, looking somewhat weasel-faced at the end of this confrontation. So Wednesday, we see Max has got an ankle tag. Yeah?
Brilliant.
And David says, well, why don't we, it's pretty rough, but let's go out for a meal later, try and make you feel a bit better. And he's like, oh, no, I don't really fancy it. He just needs to get his head around things as they are at the moment. But he's got a mission, and Max on a mission on Wednesday. He wants to say sorry to Alia at all costs. And
not allowed to go within 50 feet of the speed dial.
Do you... forgetting the legalities, and you're not allowed to go near her or anything.
Yeah.
Do you think that this was the right thing to do, to give the letter, or should he really have left sleeping dogs lie here?
Here's an idea, though, right? If you live next door to somebody that you incited somebody else to blow up and stab, and you've been told you're not allowed to get within 50 feet of speed dial, post the letter through their letterbox.
Good point.
Don't take it round to where you're not allowed to go.
Check it over the fence.
Yeah, I mean, it was... I would like to have read what the letter said. We didn't get to hear it, did we?
I can't remember. I thought maybe we did. I don't know.
There's nothing you can really say, is it? It's like, sorry.
It was just a sorry letter.
Sorry about the bomb.
And he is quite young and in many ways naive. I mean, the grooming showed that.
And yeah.
But I think as somebody who feels that they've done wrong, an apology letter feels like the right thing to do.
Honestly, if
at
I
school,
feel like,
when you do things wrong, I don't know what it's
letter.
like at secondary school, but if somebody gets, is really horrible to someone else, you say, right, you're going to write a letter of an apology. So maybe he thinks, well, that's the natural thing to do. Of course, that's what my teacher would say.
Feel like I've upset somebody, I really will never feel okay about it until I feel like I've made it up to them, or they accept my apology.
Yeah, you hate the thought that
I hate the idea of upsetting somebody. I don't like blowing people up. I've had to do it before, and I don't like it when it happens. And so when I write a letter, I get upset if they don't accept the apology immediately. So I'm completely on Max's side.
Well, he brings this letter around to well, he's got it around by Victoria Gardens, hasn't he? But he gives it to a delivery driver to pass on to Yasmin. To Alia, sorry, yeah. And then when she reads the letter later, she is not best pleased.
Does not accept
Stomps out and has a massive rant at Max. And I'm not going to say that she overreacted because, yeah, as I say, he was responsible for getting her stabbed. He was partly responsible for her nearly getting blown up.
Well, I mean, again, this is mind-boggling to me. And, again, it's kind of just a joke about how much we mean about Alia, but she literally has suffered physically and emotionally because this boy decided, based on the colour of her skin, that she didn't deserve to live in the country that she was born in.
But he was groomed, Gemma.
And now he's living next door to her, and if I was Alia, I'd start to feel the same sort of way about Max as he felt about Alia. You know, if I was Alia and I'm living in this country, I'm living here, and the court system, the justice system is run by the majority white people, right?
Yeah.
And all these white people have got together and gone, let him out early. He didn't mean it. He was just groomed as well. Let him move next door. It's fine. He just won't go to the restaurant anymore.
Yeah, I suppose the injustice
of him... And if I was Alia,
him...
I'd be like, this is absolute crap. This is just not acceptable. I've been let down time and time again, and this boy then writes a letter to me like, sorry, I'm going in there. And it's never going to make up for what happened to me. I'm still suffering the effects of it. I can't work properly. I might lose my job. I'm trying to help this woman I admire, Dee Dee, who I think is absolutely brilliant. I'm looking like a mug in front of her because I'm making mistakes. I'm trying my best to pick my life back up together again. And you think you can write me a letter when you've done absolutely nothing to make up for what you did to me, and you have not been punished, because apparently it's fine. It's fine to just, incite racial hatred against people and only do how many months for, whatever. It's just rubbish. Of course, I don't think she ranted enough at him.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was well deserved.
Yasmin and Alia are being incredibly restrained and graceful about this whole thing, considering what they have been put through, and also, I mean, I think the Platts and their kind of sheepish, kind of weird, embarrassed, like, white people reaction to the fact that their bloody grandson or son has done this to Alia and all the rest of the other people, as Alia points out, you've got the Alahans, you've got the Baileys, you've got the, has he got a problem with them as well? He must do, logically thinking. And you've got all the rest of the Platts like going, so it was really awkward. It's just mind-boggling.
Gail was right when she was saying you're going to have to get used to this. People are not going to welcome you back with open arms.
I think because this is a fictional television show, he will be forgiven.
I think he probably will be forgiven at some point.
I'd hope that he gets given some kind of redemption arc or some kind of
he's got to do something.
He has to do something.
It's got to be an action speak louder than words.
Yeah. I mean, but in real life, Alia's never... If this was real, Alia would never get closure.
I mean, Speed Dial's fairly flammable, isn't it? Can Max rescue her from there at some point, maybe?
She certainly wouldn't ever get an apology letter from him, would she? I completely... the fires of hell would not burn as bright as my fury if I was Alia against this absolutely entitled little... And the fact that Max was, spouting all this stuff about, I was born in this country and my ancestors lived here longer than yours, so how come I don't have a restaurant? I'm going to get... Why don't you... and you're so entitled and pathetic. You're born when you're born and nothing else before that. And even somebody like... I've forgotten the name of the poor lad that came over and lost his brother. Darian. He had just as much right to by the law to come here, and it doesn't matter. It just drives me absolutely bonkers that that Alia even has to talk to him.
Yeah.
But anyway,
this is going to take
sucks.
This is going to be a long-term forgiveness thing, and it seems like he's, Friday.
But it just bothers me that she's going to have to be the bigger person here to accept his apology eventually, and it really doesn't feel right. It's very sour.
Well, I think the only solution is for her to lock herself in her house and then never go outside, and
no,
then
I
she'd
think
never have to encounter him ever again.
She should get to blow him up.
just one. Just one
once.
little blowout, yeah, just a little puff. So Gary finds Max later in Victoria Gardens, and he's fairly glum looking. He's like, I should turn the clock back. And Gary says, like we said earlier, you just got to give it time. You need to show her that you are a changed person, and maybe she'll change, but maybe she won't.
Maybe she'll accept it.
Yeah, maybe she'll change her opinion about you, or maybe she won't, is what I mean.
Yeah, I think this was very wise.
And it was a wise advice. And if she doesn't have to, she's not guaranteed. And if she doesn't
to deal with it.
Accept your apology, then unfortunately you will just have to learn to deal with it. It's a life lesson.
Point out that Gary is talking without Max realising it at all from a complete position of having done and gone through this himself.
Exactly.
He's not done the same kind of thing as Max has done.
No.
But he still has made terrible mistakes and had to live a good life to make up for it without ever being able to be forgiven by anybody who would know. Well, I guess Kelly forgave him in the end, but he's telling Max from a position of knowing, and luckily I guess he got the closure that he wanted out of this, and we're all just going to brush it under the carpet, all the stuff that Gary did, but Max can only live a good life, and I don't think Alia should forgive him. I don't think he deserves it.
Oh, it's really hard.
For her, the idea that she could forgive him is good for her personally.
Yeah.
But
I'd
I
like
don't
to think
he
that she
deserves
will.
it.
I'm quite a forgiving person if I ever need to. I need to.
I hold grudges.
As we have found out, Gemma is a half horrible person.
But no, I'm just saying that we've talked about this before on the podcast about the burden on victims to be the bigger person and accept apologies from people when really they shouldn't have to. Yeah,
I'm just sorry. I just picked up Gemma's phone. I just remembered there was an extra question on this "Are you a horrible person?" quiz, and it says, "Do you call your husband a troll in selfie photos that he's taken at Soap Awards?" Yes or no, Gemma?
Do you? No, okay.
Nobody's written in to criticise you about that. So clearly everybody agrees that I look trollish.
Can I just give added context to this?
Yes.
We went round your dad's house.
Yeah.
And you showed them some of the photos.
Yeah.
And you spent a lot of time on the TV zooming into your nose where you had detritus.
Detritus.
Zooming in.
Nasal detritus.
Zooming in every picture going, look at this, bogey. And I came away from that traumatised, honestly.
Sorry.
I don't love you anymore.
Oh no.
Because of your nose.
I'll do better.
But you took great delight in pointing out that you had a massive bogey on your nose. I'm sorry, but Fungus the Bogeyman famously had a load of bogeys. Yeah. So he's a troll, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, on topic. So we have Gav phoning up Max, and I love Gav, so I was happy to see him again. And he's like, "Have you seen Beck yet?" He seems like almost stalkerishly insistent.
My prediction
that Max goes and visits.
Did I say
his
this on the podcast?
Girlfriend. Yeah, remember. You have. You've talked about this.
All right, we'll get to it.
Odd that this may be a second stalker storyline in a year.
Hang on.
What?
No, just get to it.
Max says, "No, sorry, I've had other things on." Gav is not.
I've been more widely outed as a racist.
Yeah.
So
I've been stoned in the street, actually. Sorry, I haven't had time to go and see your bird. So Max has to end the phone call because he gets round to where his house is and he sees a police car there, and he goes inside and gets a good old telling off from a policeman because he went close to speed dial. What?
The policeman's like, "Don't do it again."
I think you kind of get one, don't you?
Do you really get to do that once?
Yeah.
I thought it. I mean, to be clear, I think he needed a telling off. I don't think he needed being thrown back in prison.
No.
But it really shocked me.
And the police officer doesn't need
Hang
all
on
the
a minute, but
paperwork
also
that comes
from
with it, to
Alia's
be fair.
perspective, she's not being protected at all by the police here.
No, I know.
They're like, yeah,
Sorry.
whatever. Okay, don't do it again though, because this is honestly tiresome now.
Yeah, just, when you come out of your house, don't
Don't-
look right. Just
Yeah,
look left
don't
and
go
keep
down
going on
Rosamond
down.
Street. Unless you want something from the co-op. You're not allowed to go to the co-op, and you can't get any good deals from EE either.
No, she's allowed to go to Rosamond Street. When she comes
Oh,
out of
sorry,
her
yeah.
house, she's not allowed to go down to
No.
Bistro. But why would she want to anyway? She's a rival.
Who's she?
Alia.
Alia can go where she wants.
No, I'm just saying if she turns right when she exits her gate,
I
then
was
there's a
talking
chance.
about Max.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about Max going down to
All right.
co-op, going, oh, I'm not here for speed dial, I want a sandwich.
Yeah.
I want a meal deal.
Is he going to have to walk along the road and press himself flat up against the wall? And Archie's going to be there in his
No
funeral office
funerals.
and just
No funeral
Max
planning for
edging
you.
himself away across
And you
the window.
Can't even look morose in Victoria Gardens
No.
because it's 50 metres.
So Friday we had a tiny bit of this story because we actually meet this Beck girl who lives in the precinct.
Yeah.
Our first precinct resident. Who'd have thought? And
Precinct
Max has
Weller.
gone there to go and find out why she hasn't been answering Gav's calls. And he's saying, "Oh, what's wrong? He's a good guy. He's in prison. Why aren't you letting him speak to you?" And you get the impression, don't you, that her opinion on Gav doesn't quite match what he thinks about her. Although throughout the whole of the episode, we find out when she goes home at the end that it doesn't really come up in conversation again, because Max ends up taking her to the cafe where she manages to eat a massive plate of food in an attempt to get it for free
I
from
thought
Bernie.
this was great because I've been watching so many of these.
Man versus food.
It's Beard Meets Food is the one I watch.
Yeah.
And it made me laugh because it was reminiscent of that.
Anyway, it was an interesting character trait, and maybe if we get to see this Beck again, which I'm sure we will, they'll have it as a running gag. But anyway, she just ends up spending the afternoon picking out with Max, and then she goes off. I think they exchange numbers.
Right.
So I kind of get the impression that at the end of the episode, she's maybe fancies Max a little bit, and clearly there's something, there's an imbalance in feelings when it comes to her and Gav, and like you said, it definitely feels like
I said before,
Gav is a bit obsessed by this girl, and she just wants him to leave her alone.
I honestly think that it's clear to me that Max has hidden what he's in. Well, we know.
Yeah.
But Gav has got no idea
Gav's
why.
got no idea that
Max
he's in
is
for
in there.
racist reasons.
So I'm sure Max equally has got no idea why Gav's in there, and and it wouldn't surprise me if Gav was not a psychopath who's been.
Oh, I hope he's not. He seems so lovely.
I think.
What?
Yeah, I just don't trust him. Anyway, so Beck lives up in the
precinct,
and so I've just opened up our pictures that we took when we went up there. When Alice and Claire let us in to have a look at the top of the precinct, and I'm pretty sure
she lives in number 3.
She lives in number 3 or maybe number 4, and the outside of number 3, I think she might be living with an older person or a mum or something, because it's got loads of gnomes and like gardening stuff outside, and she doesn't strike me as a gardener. But number 4 is the one that's got the dog bowl and the leashes outside. It looks like a man's apartment to me.
Yeah,
and it's got like
impression.
a little sign
Men
that says
like dogs, don't they?
"Love is being owned by a German Shepherd,"
Well,
and a
maybe
little
she's
German
maybe
Shepherd
she's just
toy.
moved in. I don't know. Yeah, I think that she, as a character, made a good first impression. I think that the whole "I'm a competitive eater, I'm up for a laugh, me"
And
kind
also,
of thing
yeah,
was
she
quite
said-
endearing, to be honest.
She said that she likes get the T-shirts. That's what they do on. That's what he does on Beard Meets Food. He always gets a T-shirt when he does.
She just needs to pop along to the Coronation Street Experience set and get the Roy's Rolls apron, doesn't she?
I mean,
There's
but
the
what
shop,
do
I mean.
you, but you do get that free in like 3 sausage rolls in a row or something. I saw a video of a man who ate hot dogs whole. He just had a fistful of hot dogs, and he just took one in his hand and he just went.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen that.
And he just ate like 6 in a row.
I wanted to stay in the programme and this be a bit of a running gag, honestly. So are we thinking that Max and Beck are maybe going to get into a relationship? Gav will get out, catch them at it or something, and this is when his psycho that has been, maybe he's been in prison for 5 years, and what we're seeing of him now is the result of 5 years worth of our excellent justice system, which reforms criminals. But just as he's made that, the right turning decision. Point and become a wholesome member of society, he's just going to crack when he finds that Max is bonking his bird. But the twist is, I suppose, like you said, that maybe he was a bit stalkerish all along.
Well, I mean, we haven't brought this up, but Beck is black.
Yes.
And Gav is black, and I don't suppose, Gav doesn't know what Max has done, and obviously Beck's got no idea. She doesn't recognise him at all. He's not notorious as a criminal. If they do get close, what will Beck think? Is Lauren ever going to come back in the show?
I don't. It feels like her time is over.
Could there be a confrontation between Beck and Lauren? I mean, if Beck finds out what Max has done, he's going to lose her because of his beliefs. And I think that would be justice in a sense, but it's not fair on Beck, is it? But again, another thing I also want to say is there seems to be a very weirdly particular form of racism that targets Asian people, and I think that's what Max. He had a problem.
Seem to be a little bit anti-Islamic rather than anything else.
To have an issue with black people, it was mostly yeah. I don't know. He's never really spelled that out, but I've definitely seen that particular sad flavour of racism
that's what we're supposed
online.
to believe it is. I'm still enjoying this storyline. This is another one that I'm kind of like, that's good when the scene comes on in here. I think that Paddy Beaver's still doing a great job. David's being fantastic. Do you remember there's that scene earlier on this week where David was talking to, I can't remember who it was now, about fantasising about slicing up his customers at Trim Up North with a razor. Like, sometimes I got the razor there and it just take a little...
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, well, that's what you got called. So how are you feeling? Are you enjoying this still? Or is it just there for you?
It's interesting.
But no more. I think it's because I like Max. Beck's made a good first impression. Like Gav, and I do like the fact that they've stuck with people still hate him, because it could have been so easy to say, well, Max gets out and everyone just kind of says, well, don't do it again. But then everything's back to normal. But the fact that they're showing some of the long-term consequences of this so far is pleasing to me.
It strikes me that Coronation Street is working really hard to have very incredibly deep, and we've said this many times before, these are all really deep issues-based storylines that need a lot of breathing room. And, they don't necessarily need more time, but they need more space, if that makes sense.
What do you mean?
So we didn't need more scenes of Max and David and the rest of them, but what we did need is space around those scenes that wasn't, here's an acid attack storyline and here's an affair. These are all really deep, dark kind of stuff, and Corrie has done a really good job on all of these individual storylines, but I just feel like it's like a Monet, and you're standing with your nose against the glass instead of taking a step back. You can't because there's not enough time.
Yeah.
And I think that, like I said, if this was just a show about this story and you only watched 40 minutes of it in a week, it would be paced well and it would be absorbing and intriguing, and you'd want to know more and you want to come back. But because it's just with everything else, it just feels like you're being slapped on the face with a fish all week long, and it's hard to appreciate it.
Well, thank goodness for the Bailey story. That's all I can say here.
Yeah, definitely.
And also the larks of Stephen. Do you want to?
But hang on, I just want to say we've heard a few people say this, that last week, even though it was only half an hour less, because it was half an hour a day.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that really.
It really feels like last week gave everything more space.
I'm going to go against the grain here and say that the half an hour episodes are just feeling like they're too short and over too quickly. When I was watching it last week, I was just like, was that it then?
I don't know what the solution is for Coronation Street for this, and I don't even know whether it's a problem. Just because I have an opinion about it doesn't mean it's an issue. But you know, does anyone else see what I mean about time versus space and just having a brain, just having time for your brain to absorb what the heck is going on here? Because these are all super deep things. These are all things that actually deserve attention and time to absorb what you're being shown.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I don't feel like I mean, the fact that Alia has just been pushed to one side in this whole story is kind of ridiculous, but it's also completely understandable because so much has happened. You kind of forgot that she got blown up in a van. When we were watching the clips in the soap awards and we saw the van explode, I was like, oh yeah, remember that happened? Anyway, so there is the Lords of the Underworld, and then there's another. This is the penultimate storyline of the week.
Well, the last one's really not very much.
So Stephen on Friday is surprised because Carla comes into the factory and she wants a meeting, and he's like, ugh, I can't be bothered with this. But she says to him, thank you for keeping the place afloat, but guess what? For the 15th time, I am going to sell my share.
I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Underworld.
Oh, Carla's left Underworld again. When's she going to be back next time?
So what I imagine is that now the shares are laminated and it's just a raise marker. You know, one of these like whiteboard markers you can rub out.
Don't get me started on those things.
Just write someone's name and
Who's not put the lid on properly? Come on, children.
Lick your thumb, rub Carla's name out, put random man in, and then 3 weeks later, when Stephen's murdered him, random man, rub Beck out, put Carla's name back on it again.
Right, go on. So
he's like, why are you doing this? And she says, I just want a fresh start and someone's made me an offer. Did this come out of the blue? Was I asleep?
I don't know.
What's she up to?
There's not been that much of a wind-up. She did say, you know, when she was in hospital after Stephen LSD'd her, she was she was happy to take a step back then, wasn't she?
Okay, that makes
maybe
sense.
it was kind of been going around in her head since
but honestly,
then.
I would be perfectly happy with being a silent partner and just taking all the lovely money.
Yeah.
But that's just me. So he says, all right, fine. I wish you all the best. Because you've written, he gives an enigmatic look.
He does. I thought he was, yeah.
Stephen
Very
and his
enigmatic
looks. Stephen and Michael head to the Rovers later, and Michael's fretting. He's like, the boss is going to get rid of me.
Yeah, we don't find out who this new boss is.
I thought
a
it
bit
was
of a mystery.
Owen.
Yeah, no, I was saying up at this point, Carla doesn't reveal who it is. So I was thinking, I don't think Owen was on my... I didn't think very hard because it makes perfect sense for it. But it reminded me of when Michelle left the bistro and we were like, oh, he's gonna be the next person.
Over?
And then it turned out to be Ray Crosby of all people. I never saw that coming. So I was thinking, is it Damon? Has Damon bought Carla's share of the factory? I don't know. But anyway, no, you're right. It was Owen. We find out later.
In the UK, if you've been employed for 2 years, under 2 years, you can kind of get fired for anything.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah. It's basically a probationary period, and they can get rid of you for kind of almost any reason. But once you reach that 2-year date, it's going to be a struggle to get rid of you. So, you know, Michael's not been working that long, so it would be quite easy for whoever's new to get rid of Stephen and Michael.
Yeah.
Stephen says, oh, don't worry about it. Then he gets a text to say, Elaine's life insurance policy is...
Yeah, Stephen does.
Was it 42 quid?
Yeah, something like that.
Cheap as
42 quid, yeah.
So later on, Stephen's asked Elaine if she's the one that bought Carla's share. And she's like, no, I ain't got time for that kind of nonsense. I'm busy picking out the curtains for the new flat. So he goes back to the factory and it's Owen. Turns out he's the one that's bought the company. He's ditched his partner.
Well, he's still sniffing around Jenny, isn't he? Because he does make that comment at some point, like, "Oh, what's happened with Jenny? One minute she was all over me, and now she's, you know, blown hot and cold." But they didn't go down that route, so I think that's supposed to be a little hint into what's to come next week, I imagine.
Let's remind ourselves that Stephen put Owen off of Jenny.
Yeah.
Because he wants her for himself for some baffling reason.
No, Jenny. He put Jenny off of Owen.
Sorry.
He goes to Jenny and says, "Well, what a massive player this guy is." Yeah.
He's like, "Do you know Sarah?" Owen's basically the male version. Right. So Stephen and Owen are left together, and Owen's like, "Listen, I want you in my business plan, and Michael too. But Sarah, you know what?"
Yeah, let's all dump on Sarah this week.
She's just a big floozy. She's just one of these blonde idiots, isn't she? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. I mean, she is my niece, but...
He's like, well, I have told her business is business. So basically, they're going to try and kick her out when she's going through this massive breakup in her marriage. And it's not going to be a good week for her next week.
Whenever I watch any couple break up on Coronation Street, I don't know why I think this, but because reality doesn't really come into it. But I always think, like, how are you going to pay your bills now? Who's paying the bills here? I don't believe that Sarah's got a chance, I hope in hell, of getting anywhere near as good a job as she had working at the factory if she gets fired to go anywhere else. How's she going to pay for that fancy flat? And her gorgeous...
She's got Adam, hasn't she?
Adam's
yeah, of course. Sorry, I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening at all. I'm very, very tired.
You were looking at your phone.
I'm falling asleep.
Listen, you can have a cup of tea in a minute. We're nearly done.
Yes, I'm going to have a cup of tea after the Roy story.
But Sarah's in deep doo-doo if she's got her cherubic son and a new baby on the way, maybe, and a flat with no handsome Adam who's too busy working.
Oh, she can just go and live with her mum.
Oh, what, really?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very nice apartment. I wouldn't want to leave it. Anyway, so, what do we think about this?
Was that it?
Why is Carla? Yeah, Stephen, you said you did Stephen's voice.
Oh, yeah. I'm now thinking, I wasn't expecting to see Owen again, necessarily, but now this has happened to him, I'm thinking, next victim. It's still like, you know, with the life insurance stuff for Elaine, there's got to be something going on there.
Can I say...
It's going to be very much within Stephen's interests to bump off him so that he can claim his share of the factory.
If Stephen kills another boring, nameless character,
peripheral character,
seemingly only in it as Stephen bait, I am going to get a bit fed up.
Yeah.
I'll still love it because I love Stephen and he can't do anything wrong because he's an angel. But I want him to kill somebody of significance. And even Elaine, to me, is not really that much of a big target. You know...
There are bigger names than Elaine in Coronation Street.
At the moment, we've got Norman Bates with a briefcase.
Yeah.
Rampaging through classic Coronation Street.
Yeah, he bumped off Maxine this week.
Maxine.
Anyone else watch that? It was great. I watched it again this morning.
You know, he's got not as big a death count as maybe some of the other characters. Not as much as Stephen. I think Stephen's gonna have a bigger death count than.
Oh yeah, he could go right up to the top.
But the reason why Richard Hillman is cemented in Corrie history as probably the seminal villain is because he killed people that mattered. And he tried
2 out of the 3. Not Patricia.
No one cares about Patricia. But you know, and Pat Phelan killed Michael, who had been in the show for a little bit.
He just let him die.
And he also
killed Luke, killed Andy.
Yeah, Luke and Andy were again peripheral. I mean, they were main cast.
I think they were more compelling characters than
anyone that Stephen's killed.
Yeah, victims.
I mean, I'm trying to think of an equivalent of who he could kill. Who's like Luke
Alia.
and Andy. I know.
Finally they can be reunited.
But, you know, Stephen needs to kill somebody big and Owen's not a big enough target. And neither's Elaine, I'm afraid. But at the end of the storyline...
She's more like Luke, isn't she?
I'm going to be...
In terms of importance.
Yeah, that's true. I will be surprised if he's killed anybody significant. I honestly think that... Ian McLeod does not want to do that to his actors, and I, in a sense, respect that because I know that he's beloved by the people that he works with. Yeah, but I think sometimes you kind of have to make a really tough decision. Again, I couldn't do it. I couldn't sacrifice somebody who is doing an excellent job and is popular.
Oh, that was a question on the horrible quiz as well that I forgot to ask you.
If you were the producer of Coronation Street, would you kill off somebody whose acting talent you admired and who was a very popular person in order to further your serial killer storyline? But you know, again, Imran died not that long ago and he was beloved and significant. Yeah. And he died at the hands of an evil murderer. So why not anyone? I tell you what would make people lose their minds, and that would be Carla. But they never do that.
No, they wouldn't kill Carla, but that would be
I think that would be incredibly risky. I think that would
send shockwaves around the fan community for sure.
That would make that might even make papers. What character would make papers? Because
Ken.
Coronation Street doesn't, for fictional storylines, Coronation Street used to make the papers. Like, oh, Sarah Louise is having a baby. You know, they've got transgender character is changing laws in the country. Does anybody, you know, Billy's shooting up in the church. Can you think of anyone who would make the papers if Stephen killed them? It would have to be.
I think the only things that would make the papers that if it was a proper legacy, if it was a Ken or an Audrey or a Gail or something,
or a Beautiful.
But he was not going to kill his own sister.
What if he killed Daisy?
Oh my god!
That would make people melt down.
That really, really would. So I think it. Maybe he's going to want to kill off Owen so he can take his share of the factory.
Know,
but it's also the love rival thing, isn't it? I've got a feeling that because Owen was talking about Jenny, I think he might have another pop at her next week and he'll say, what is the problem? And then she'll say this and maybe he'll be able to defend himself and say, no, I'm not like that at all. And then Stephen will get even madder and say, well, I'm going to get you off and I'll get the factory as well at the same time.
Here's a question. How's he going to kill Owen? Who's done hole punch, drowning and pushing over the side of a building. I think
I'm too tired for this.
Oh, sorry.
I think he's gonna drizzle maple syrup.
Dribble
maple syrup on his head
out of his
goes
mouth,
insane.
like a little tiny. He's like, I'll feed you like a mummy bird.
Baby bird.
And then
that's
he
how
drowns
they do it
him
up in the giant redwoods. What do you think?
I think you're right.
Right. So the Roy storyline. It was only on Monday. And Evelyn goes to collect Roy from hospital, but hears that Yasmin's there, and she basically sees her off. After the last time when she turned round, this time it's like, right, off you go, bye Yasmin. But then Yasmin's like, that is incredibly rude. It must be exhausting having to constantly be negative about things. Oh no, Roy says that. Sorry, Roy says that to Evelyn, doesn't he? Which that was a good line. And he's hoping to be discharged this afternoon. Nina turns up and Evelyn makes a thing about, oh, well, you know, may I know what I'm not needed. And Roy says, no, that's not true. Look, you can come back to me later.
All you need to say here is that Evelyn offers to take Roy home.
Yeah, and Roy says, no, you're all right, thank you.
And then Nina sits with Roy and says, I'm sorry I don't like hospitals because my mum and my dad both had horrible medical things.
Are you taking over?
Well, you seem really tired.
I am super tired, but I'm going to still take my turn. So, she says, oh, my mum was in hospital, my dad, that I'm kind of being freaked out about this. And then Roy says, look, it's okay, I've still got plenty of miles in the tank yet. Later still, Evelyn arrives and Roy says, look, could you mind looking after Freddie for a little bit while I recuperate? Clearly, Evelyn has got a bit more of a bond with this Freddie than Roy does. But she's still like, oh, what a liberty. He's a very demanding mutt, you know. And Roy said, look, oh, fine. I mean, if you don't want to look after him, then maybe I'll just have to ask Yasmin. And he was like, no way is that bitch looking after your dog. I'm having him. And that was kind of the end of that, really. Agreed?
I'm honestly not digging Evelyn and Roy coupling up.
I don't think it's going to go that way anyway. I think he's going to rebuff her or something. I think that they make a great partnership, but it doesn't need to go down the romance way. But I wouldn't mind if it did because it's kind of sweet. But I can't see them as a couple together. They don't look right to me. I
agree.
Right.
I just said that.
I know.
I enjoyed that week.
Yeah, I thought it was a good week. I thought it was a great week. I mean, again, the Aggie stuff absolutely inspired. The Sarah Louise and Damon things, as much as, I mean, that had been aggravating me massively. You know, you've heard me get riled up about that. But the way it played out on Wednesday and Friday, fantastic.
I want to say that you guys on the podcast, you don't even hear the half of it, honestly.
I thought that the court case on Monday was quite exciting. Shame it fell off after that. Max is out, is fun. Stephen, yeah, it was a good week. I am going to give this week's podcast. No, sorry.
I'll give the podcast 5.
I'm going to give this week's episode. I'm going to let you have the one that I think you want here. So I'm going to go with 4 miles in Roy's tank, out of 5.
Oh, really? Which one did you think I was going to go for?
Well, you go for it.
I'm going to give this 4 women who come into work with odd shoes.
Oh.
But I thought you were going to say...
I thought you were going to say 4
Skeletons.
skeletons in Carla's knickers, because that's the best one. I'm going to reclaim that one if you're going for something else. I'm giving this 4 skeletons in Carla's knickers out of 5. And you give 4 as well.
Yes,
Good
and
week,
I'm
good week.
giving the character of the week to Yvette because she just was fantastic. And
I think
Arabella
I
Weir,
would agree.
to come into Coronation Street, it must be very, very daunting because all these actors work with each other day in, day out for years and years.
Yeah, and you come in as just a little bit part.
And you have to be comedic too. That is hard.
Yeah, you be funny.
Be funny in front of all these legends.
Yeah.
Or on the
she
one
made
of the
it
biggest
effortless.
shows on British telly, and she just did a fantastic
Mm-hmm,
job. I thought she was utterly fabulous,
Me too.
but incredibly rude.